Major leaguers are getting ready for the show. Whether at Roger Dean Stadium or the ballpark of the Palm Beaches. Rooting for hometown heroes or just cheering for the love of the game itself. Few places have the same level of dedication to America's pastime as the Palm Beaches. Come and discover your perfect game at thepalmbeaches.com.
Palm Beach County needs your participation to remain a top recycler in the state of Florida. Cardboard rolls like the ones in paper towels, toilet paper, and gift wrapping are items we accept in our recycling program. They go into the yellow bin. Learn more at swA.org/recycleright.
Now that we've all been seated, would you please take roll, clerk?
Mayor Baxter.
Here.
Commissioner Flores. Here. Commissioner Marino.
Here.
Commissioner Powell. Commissioner Sachs. Sorry?
She's walking in.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss.
Please
Vice
let
Mayor
the record
Woodward.
reflect that Commissioner Sachs is here. If you are able, please stand for the pledge and the invocation.
Good morning, all. Commissioner Flores and I just got back from Israel, and I'm not going to read a prayer from the book. I'm going to speak from the heart. It was very enlightening. The folks live in fear and in joy. Not a safe way to live. But I want you all to think about the joy you have, the luck you have, the family that you have around you that surround you and give you peace and tranquility every day. And think about the folks that you work with and the blessings that we have. And may there be peace, and may we understand each other, though we might have differences. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I guess I didn't need a book.
Thank you. Was the notice sent out?
Yes,
Thank you. Do we approve of publication?
we do.
And a swearing in attorney?
Mayor. May I be recognized?
You may.
Can we get a motion to receive and file the proof of publication, please?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 5-0.
All those wishing to testify on today's items, please rise if you can. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do we have any additions, deletions, or substitutions?
We do have some modifications, starting with item number 3, Fitness Center Industrial to ULDC-related modification. The applicant has requested to postpone to March 26th. So that would need a motion when we get to the postponement agenda.
Which item number was that, Wendy?
Item number 3.
3. Thank you.
On B1, PDD 2025-750 Falls PUD, there's a modification to Exhibit C to add in a minimum to the landscape perimeter on the north property line. Item 4, Workforce Housing Program, there's modification to the staff recommendation. We just need to receive and file the business impact estimate and the motion for permission to advertise. Under other departments, item number 5, there's some additional correspondence that we've included as a backup. And then there's an additional item number 9 related to the investment policy revision.
So with the item number 3 is the request for postponement.
I'll make a motion to postpone.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Flores, a second by Commissioner Sacks to postpone item number 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 5-0. I also, in front of me, have a letter from, since we're doing this now, Vice Mayor Woodward is requesting that we postpone item number 5. Can I get a motion?
I'll be happy to make that
Oh,
motion.
are there comment cards on item number 5?
Do we have comment cards on item number 5? How many?
Do we need to do public comment cards on number 3?
They would talk, yes.
Actually, there
Do we have
there are
cards on
none. There are
number
none
3
for
as
number
well?
three. Nope, they're not for number 3, but there are 2 for
None
number
for
5.
3, 2 for 5.
Okay, so let's do the comment cards for 5.
Please call them to the podium.
May I say something? Mr. Attorney, should we read comments cards only with regard to the postponement or to the item as we would hear?
Well, so if we're considering the postponement, let them speak to the postponement,
But
yes.
not to the item as indicated on the agenda. Is that correct, sir?
Correct. So
Correct.
there, they
Okay,
would,
good.
comments would be limited to whether or not to postpone this item.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Would you please call the 2 names?
I'm going to apologize in advance for mispronunciation, but I got Edin Manovic and Michael Slocum.
If you would please state your name for the record and just be aware this is just going to be on the postponement.
This is Mike Slocum,
My name is Edin Mehanovic.
and I would prefer it to be postponed.
Thank you. That was easy enough. Did I have a first?
I'll make a motion, if, second, whatever.
Motion by Commissioner Marino, second by Commissioner Sacks. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion to postpone number 5 is carried. 5-0. I would like to also reorder. Wendy, there was one you wanted to, actually, let me ask the attorney first. Would you like us to vote on the additions, deletions, and substitution before reordering?
I don't see why we couldn't do a, yeah, let's do the additions, substitutions first, and then reorder the agenda second.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Flores. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 5-0, which is the agenda as amended. Taking on, we had some requests to move items number, I believe,
8 and 9, please.
8 and 9 to take right after consent.
I don't think
Correct.
we have it.
I need a motion. I have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Flores.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please say that that motion carries 5-0. Do we have any other changes to the agenda?
No.
Thank you. Okay. So we will start with consent. Do we, let's do, we have no consent today.
No consent.
Okay, excuse,
Sorry, no consent. My speaker is inadvertently on. I'm sorry.
okay, we have no consent. So the first item up. 8 and 9? All right, so we will do disclosures for item number, do we need disclosures for item number 1, Attorney? Or
I thought we
reordered it. Sorry,
reordered
we'll
the
take 8
agenda,
and
yeah.
9. It doesn't need disclosures, or does it?
No, they do not.
Thank you. So we will do 8 and 9.
Morning.
Morning. Good morning. It was an add-on.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Oh. How's that? Is that better?
Better, thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jessica Comas. I'm the purchasing director, and with me today I have Crystal Bakey, our purchasing administrator project coordinator. I also have with me Stephanie Marsh Corinthian, the assistant director for water utilities. I have Ali Bayet, the director of water utilities, and then county attorney office Ann Helfont. So we're here today regarding lime, sludge, and loading. This item that we're bringing to the board is a recommendation of award IFB number 25-060/AS to Devlin Site Paving and Utilities, Inc. for a 12-month contract and 4 renewals in the amount to not exceed $1.29 million per year. This item was brought to the board, if you recall, on February 3rd for the approval in the recommended awardee for Devlin. But there were 2 public comment cards that were discussed at that time. One was from Mr. Goodlett of Pro Lime, who is the current contract person, and also then one from Mr. Perez of Big Dog Express. The procurement department and water utilities deemed the 2 vendors as non-responsive at the time per our current policy, but the board asked at that time to postpone it so that way Devlin would be able to be available so they can be able to speak to the board. So we are here today regarding that. And we did notify Devlin, and they said that they would be here today.
Would they like, or do they want to speak?
So the board asked in regards for them to come to speak.
Does anyone have any questions for them?
Yeah, okay.
I believe there's a comment card.
We have Drew Martin and David Goodlett.
Drew, you want me to go ahead and start? Drew Martin on behalf of the Sierra Club. This is for, I guess, removal of toxic sludge, what I gather from reading this. But my question is, so they're going to remove it in, where are they going to take it? Was my first question. And second of all, how toxic is it? And is there any risk in where it gets applied and where does it get applied? So
I can answer that question.
thank you.
Ali, you're recognized.
Morning, Mayor, Commissioners, Mr. Pot. Going to the comment that in terms of it's toxic, it's not. It's allowed by the state, FDP. We've been doing this for years. I don't know what that means, toxic. There's no such a thing at this point. So that whoever going to be the selected hauler, they will be allowed to use it for a typical landfill or anything that they do. They just have to be compliant with whatever is needed. But as of now, it's not toxic.
Okay, thank you. And we had one more card? Mr. Goodlett?
Good morning, Commissioners. Appreciate the opportunity to revisit this. I'll be very quick. As you'll recall, last time we were here and we felt a little bit like we had been disenfranchised. Maybe it was our misunderstanding of the way the application process worked, but we being Pro-Lime, had teamed with Big Dog. And I think it not only saved the county $864,000 over the life of the contract. We had been the existing hauler at this time, and we own the scales that are there, and there'll be a disruption if they have to be removed. In addition to that, we noticed since then that on a page called Award Recommendation Sheet, we were not given credit for being a Glades a contractor, and that would be 5% or so. And so today we're asking you that you award the bid to the best and most responsible bidder, and that is definitely ProLime and Big Dog. We've done this business for a while. We've been doing it for 5 years. There's no complaint. And we heard from staff that they only looked at the first person named in the application. Had they gone, and listen, that's policy, so I'm not attacking staff, but had they looked at the second, it would have made very clear, and there would have been no question about whether we're the most economical and responsive bidder. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. So in reviewing these proposals, and which was the lower cost to the taxpayers?
So the low cost would be Big Dog Express. However, part of our current policy is that we have to see in regards to if the vendors are what we considered responsive.
Understand.
Right.
But the cost?
For the cost, as far as with the bids, Big Dog was the lowest.
And they're currently providing that service today?
No, they're not.
Well, ProLime.
ProLime, correct.
Who is a partner in this with Big Dog?
Correct. As part of the bid, we look at the primary, which is Big Dog.
Understood. All right. So I would prefer to save taxpayers money, and so I will make a motion to award this contract to the Big Dog ProLime group.
I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss.
I'm sorry, but because in this instance, basically you have two options. You can award the contract either to Devlin or you have to cancel and rebid because Big Dog was deemed non-responsive, unless you find them responsive today.
So would we have to make a motion to find them responsive?
You'd have to make a motion based on the evidence that they were in fact responsive, yes.
So then, would you like to amend your motion, Commissioner Weiss, to find them responsive and award it to them?
So have they received the references necessary, because that's why they were deemed non-responsive originally?
Has staff received those references by now?
I would have to look. I don't believe we have.
Okay. Yeah, Mike.
I will remove that motion, and I'm going to replace it with a motion to just cancel this and rebid this.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss, a second by Commissioner Flores for them to rebid this. All in favor? Any opposed? See that the motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's it? I'm Dublin.
Did we have another card? Okay.
I'm Dublin.
Yeah, so they're going to rebid it?
But I'm Dublin. And what's happening here is ProLine had an opportunity.
Sir, I'm sorry, but if you needed to speak, you could have submitted a comment card.
They
We've
asked me to come here
already
to speak.
voted on it.
They asked me to come here and speak.
I will give you a minute out of courtesy to speak, but we did vote already.
Yes, but you asked me to come here to speak.
Please.
And I've been here since 9 o'clock.
Oh, please.
Now, ProLine had an opportunity to be at the mandatory pre-bid. ProLine was the contract of record. ProLine could have been a responsible bidder if he'd have showed up, but he missed the meeting. I was there. Now, if it was me, on the other hand, which I was been a member of small business for 42 years, I would have said, if ProLine showed up and put in the bid and he was below bidder, guess what? He would have been a low bidder. I'm deemed responsive. If you're going to play by the set of rules, we got to play by the same set of rules. If I didn't show up and didn't show up on time and had the mandatory pre-bid, now I'm trying to come through the back door with somebody else. I'm non-responsive. How can you sit here and say ProLine is responsible in the lowest bid? No, ma'am. I've been here in this county for 42 years. I've done a lot of business. I'm a quiet mover. Mark Fort Lee, Hattie Green, Marcus, the list goes on. VA hospital, the courthouse, the fire station, the list goes on. We fought for rights. This is not right because he comes in here and he missed the mandatory pre-bid. Coming through the back door is not right. When I'm the responsible bidder, I got a number 1 on mine, so they got a 0 on their score. They are right. If we're going to stand for right in America, we have to do things which is right. This is wrong because he didn't show up. He missed the meeting. They're not telling you the whole story. And number 2, once it is deemed that he has 5 days from the notice to award to get those scales out of there. Those scales belong to the county. They don't belong to Proline anymore. They belong to you. So making recommendations, that's not right. And he's right. You have to. It's your rules. You can't make it up as you go along. That was wrong in America today. We make up the rules as we go along. It doesn't mean anything. The rule of law doesn't mean anything. So I want you to pull back your recommendation, award that contract to me because I did it right by the book. Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
I just want to address staff regarding my comments at the previous meetings regarding some administrative things that we need to clean up so that as we move forward, we clean that up. I don't remember exactly what was, but I remember that there were some things that were lost in translation that we need to clean up on our side. How quickly can we turn this RFP around?
So typically, and Crystal, I don't know if you want to chime in the typical turnaround time, but just to clarify what you said at the last meeting, we do have some efficiencies that we're trying to work on, including enhancements and automation as far as like email responses when the award is posted. So we are working, we have a product that we're working on in regards to have a better turnaround time. In regards to putting this back out, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. It does take 30 business days for advertisement, and then we do the award.
So 30 days to advertise, and then the process sort of comes back to us in 60 days?
Yes, I would say that, because then we have to post the award recommendation for 5 business days, and then we will take it to you guys on your board meeting.
Right.
And Director Bayat, the 60 days is doable for your team?
We will make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I have questions for staff. So this is rebid. It's still going to go to, the gentleman can still rebid, and it's still going to go to the best.
So what's going to happen is everything is canceled and we're starting it all over. So anybody then at that point can do the bid, whether
So he
it's.
could still be awarded the bid, correct?
Correct. It's to what, go ahead, it's okay.
It's, they will go through the entire process over, and whoever is the lowest, while we apply preferences, will receive that award.
Thank you so much. Okay, that should be it for item number 8. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 9. Good morning.
Good morning.
We are going to take the cards first, if you would please call them up.
I have Alexandria Larson and Drew Martin.
I guess there's a lot of new rules here at the county because this is the second time I've dealt with an item that was, because we were at Solid Waste Authority last week, and we had an item from the county that was on the agenda, and then we dealt with the Solid Waste Authority, and today, the bonds. It seems odd for the bonds to be on a zoning agenda or in the zoning meeting. I just, It does. It would be a regular agenda item on our regular agenda on March 3rd, maybe, that when I was reading everything, just following the rules. But the one thing that I did get into a tete-a-tete with the commissioner because they did say that the only bonds we could buy was the Israel bonds, and I wanted to see that in writing somewhere, which probably doesn't, happen. But at least as long as we get it straight and we're doing 15% and everybody's happy, because I know some people who had their panties in the twist about all of the bonds lately, and I've just had a couple of questions on how they're done. That was my questions. So hopefully we'll have it. You're going to have 15%, not 18%, not 30%. We'll have 15% in the Israel bonds. Is that what's happening now? That's what it'll be, the percentage? Okay? Hopefully somebody will answer that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Drew Martin. I guess my interest is just why it's not on the agenda. And
Why?
this 9 is not.
It was an add-on.
But I don't see usually there's a sheet here that shows add-ons, and I don't see it.
I apologize, but there are.
Right, but usually there is a sheet that says add-ons or deletions with some information. There's no information in this here. Oh, well, that's why I didn't see it. Okay, that explains it, because I did look for this when I came in. And I guess my second question is, why is an investment policy revision on a zoning hearing? It seems an unusual thing to put it on a zoning hearing. I don't know what this has to do with zoning. So I guess that would be my second question.
Pat, would you like to address the question, please?
Certainly. This particular item, there was a time exigency, and it needed to be addressed before March 1st, so we had to place it on this. This board takes many regular items on zoning days. It's a convening of the Board of County Commissioners. We advertise it, note it that way, do it as necessary.
Thank you.
Right, but my question would be then, wouldn't you have to adjourn the zoning meeting then and re-adjourn as the county commission?
No, they're sitting as the county commission. They're hearing zoning items and other items, perfectly legal.
I guess I wouldn't be the only one that would find that odd, but I guess it's not odd since you can do it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner, do we want a presentation on number 9? Commissioner Weiss, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I'd like to go ahead and move item number 9 that would extend the temporary to extend for 2 days the sunsetting on the Israel bonds cap, so that we can take advantage of the interest rates that were being offered.
I have a motion by Commissioner Weiss.
Also, there's a B and a C on this, so there's 3 motions. Yes.
And is that to approve A, B, and C? Yes. Thank you. Do I have a second? I have a second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that motion carries 5-0. And back to item number 1. Do we have a presentation for this, Wendy?
For staff, if you want a presentation, I think the applicant is prepared to do a presentation if you'd like one.
Do any commissioners want a presentation? Yes, please. Hi, Kevin. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Kevin Rattery, Vice President, GL Homes of Florida. I'm here on behalf of the property owner and developer, Lake Worth Associates 1 LLP, which is an affiliated entity of GL Homes. I'm here on the rezoning of the Falls Country Club. The Falls was a privately owned golf course at the northwest quadrant of Jog Road, Hypoluxo Road to the south, and Hagen Ranch Road to the east. It is directly south of and shares a common property line with a community called Journey's End. Across Hypoluxo Road is a portion of Lake Charleston. East on Jog Road is the Winston Trails community, and west of us is Lakeview Estates. Most of the property in the northwestern quadrant, with the exception of the golf course, was approved under the Smith Dairy DRI. This piece of property has a land use designation of CR/5, which stands for Commercial Recreation, which was the land use designation governing the use of the property as the golf course, with an underlying 5, MR5 designation. It is within the urban-suburban tier, and this is a rezoning from the CR Commercial Recreation Zoning District to the PUD zoning district. When you see golf course conversions, you typically see them in one of two forms. The most common form is a golf course which is intertwined with and part of an existing PUD, where maybe portions of the golf course were utilized to meet PUD open space requirements or recreation requirements. The other type, which is the type before you this morning, is when you have a freestanding golf course. It was approved by itself and is not part of any other approval. Just for historical purposes to prove that point, this is an aerial 1986 of the subject property bounded in red. As you can see, it was farming property to the northwest and east, a little harder to see, undeveloped property. In 1993, you can see that the golf course exists, and to the east of us across Jog Road, you see the beginnings of the Winston Trail community. And in 1999, you see Lakeview Estates to our west across Hagen Ranch Road, Journey's End to our north, and obviously Winston Trails going through. As I mentioned earlier, this is a straight rezoning to the PUD for 800 units. We are not requesting any density bonuses through the workforce housing program. We are utilizing the MR5 land use designation. I will go through densities in a second. We are not asking for any variances. We have one administrative waiver that relates to the interior recreation pod for the single-family component of the project that is approved by staff, assuming BCC approval today of the rezoning. So I mentioned earlier about density. The subject property is 167.82 acres in size at 5 units per acre, which is the maximum permissible density as a PUD, is allowed 838 units. We are proposing 800 units. We are 38 units below the MR5 maximum density of a PUD. If we requested density bonus through the workforce housing program, under limited incentive, we would be allowed up to 1,257 homes, which is an increase of 419. And if we did a full density incentive at 100%, it would be 1,676. Even at the 800 units, we have a workforce housing requirement on both the standard and PUD density of 27 workforce housing units. This is the preliminary master plan that's before you. I'm going to break it into its subsets. The areas in yellow are the 500 units that are single-family detached, zero lot line homes. The blue is the recreation pod that is designed to serve the yellow residential pods. And then the pod E, which is the multifamily component of the site. I'm going to spend most of my time talking about that because that was the subject of a lot of discussion. Just for reference, we started meeting with the adjoining communities and community groups in December. To date, we've had over a dozen community meetings, whether they be in person or through Teams or Zoom type calls. Pod E was submitted by the applicant as a multifamily pod consisting of 300 multifamily rental units in a 6-story building. Our first trip to our community groups was with COBRA and their growth management committee. Barbara is here to speak on behalf of COBRA, but I will give them all the credit. COBRA was concerned about the 6-story rental building on site and requested, is it possible to request of the county to cash out an adjoining 3.36 acre civic site, which you see in the peach hue. And so we went back to PREM and asked the first obvious question of PREM: has a county agency identified a need for this 3.36 acre site? And the answer to that was no. So this is a policy decision of the board that's left to you on civic site cash outs. Over the years, we have done cash outs of civic sites and we've done conveyances of civic sites. In this particular case, if the board approves the cash out, it allows us to swap the lake, which is directly south of the civic site, and separates the multifamily pod from the civic pod with the civic pod, and that 3.36 acres can combine with pod E, and that allows us to take the 6-story building to a 4-story building. So part of your motions today include the ability to cash out, and then we have companion conditions of approval, assuming that cash out, that restrict the height of the building to a 4-story height of 42 feet. This is the conceptual site plan. I just wanted to talk a little bit about access to the PUD. We have, for the single-family component, the main access off Jog Road that would be gated and secured, and then a resident-only access off Hagen Ranch Road. Most of our time dealing with the adjoining communities has been relating to sharing the common property line with Journey's End to our north. Over the years, Journey's End has had the benefit of being able to get an open space reduction on some of their pools and screen enclosures and principal uses because the golf course was next door, and a golf course is considered open space. And the concern was the code has a minimum 50-foot dimension for that reduction. If this project was approved with a buffer that was less than 50 feet combined, then we would make Journey's End non-conforming. And so there are conditions of approval in the development order, as well as an agreement with Journey's End, that require GL to do a 40-foot buffer where we abut up against their lots. They have a 10-foot buffer in their community. The 40 plus 10 equals 50, and therefore the lots don't become non-conforming. So we've addressed that through condition of approval, and we have an agreement regarding the buffer, the wall location, and the material within the buffer. Just for reference, the multifamily rental, the closest we are is to Winston Trails at 950 at the 6-story building. So this is just a representation of the buffer. Again, the light blue is the 40-foot section abutting up against the Journey's End residential lots, and the beige E color, little color blind, so the beige E color is between 30 and 35 feet. I'm not going to go through all the buffer sections. I did access. Let me just say that the part of the residential multifamily design is we've wrapped this building, so you will not be able to see the associated parking structure. I'm going to get through this really quick. This just shows you the difference. Whoop, going away. I got to go. I don't know what I'm doing now. It just keeps going forward. Why is it not going? Oh, there it goes. I'm being an idiot. That's why. No, I'm not. This is, there it goes. My apologies. Yep. I don't know. It's only going forward. Why is it only going forward? Thank you. Anyway, this is the 4-story design. Again, wrapping the building of the multifamily. This is a rendering of that multifamily. This is the important part that I need the board to understand, the timing of workforce housing. As part of this project, we have committed that if the board approves the cash out and we are doing the multifamily units on site as a 4-story building, the 27 workforce housing units will be built on site in the rental. This is language right out of your code. When you do a single building, and this is a single building, you pull all of the building permits at one time, and you CO all the units at one time. The code has what I call a glitch, which is it requires 50% of your workforce housing units to get a CO when you've got 50% of your building permits. Well, when 100% of your building permits get issued at one time, it's impossible to have 50% of your COs done. So we will file a privately initiated code amendment to address that. We've had discussions with staff about it. I think we're all in agreement that this is something that just needs to be fixed. It didn't account for this type of project going forward. The last thing I want to mention, Commissioner Sachs, just because it was something that you brought up during our meeting regarding the project, our recreation area and the single family does have areas which are designated for children. We have a tot lot play area with associated bathrooms, a kiddie pool area, and we have indoor air-conditioned space allocated for kids. We also have the multifamily indoor space as well as outdoor space. There are 8 daycare centers licensed and permitted within a 2-mile radius of the subject site. And with regard to other civic uses, the fire station's 0.7 miles away, and the police substation is approximately 1 mile away. I'm going to just end with, it meets all the standards. Your staff's recommending approval. We would request your approval. Thank you.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
You called me before I pushed my button. Huh?
I knew you wanted to speak.
Just because you mentioned it, I know. Good, thank you. I want to thank you for the long presentation you gave in my office. I'm always disconcerted when it comes so late in the game, because I would have liked to have worked with you and Cobra, and I want to thank Barbara Rush, who is here today, and all the executive board of Cobra, because I had a long conversation with them as well. Unfortunately, it's always late in the game. And I want to thank you, Mr. Rattery. You did put in something for children to play, and I'm sure that one day, you mentioned that there are infant care centers close by, because that's always an issue for young families, especially today. Of the 800 units, approximately how many residents do you predict will be living in this space?
Well, the typical...
2 and 3 bedrooms. What do you think?
Yeah, it's the typical county mathematical formula, I think, is 2.39 persons per household.
2.39? I always wondered how the government got to with 0.9.
I think it's
Is that like a
related to
mother-in-law? Or? So we have a couple thousand people living in this area. Okay, and I appreciate your work on this. Your company does a good job. What I oppose is a cash out of the public area. And I know that Cobra has looked very carefully at how close we have a fire station and how close there's law enforcement. My concern is really very practical. Traffic is a mess. The biggest issue that people have today is traffic. Putting in over 1,000 people in this area, obviously, is going to increase traffic. And I discussed this at some length with our county engineer, who gave a very good analysis of what will occur at already failing roads. We will have additional traffic. You will not cash out on working on those traffic lanes, won't you, Mr. Rattier? Rather than give us the money to do it, will your company work on making sure that we have turn lanes from these 2, I think it's Hagen Ranch, and what's the name of the other road, Mr.? And Jog Road. So that, and there's going to be an installation of a light there, and that will help. My concern is this. If you make the entire area built out residential, and you have no area, public area, even though it's only 3.36 acres of public area, I hate to see that go, and I'll tell you why. We have a fire station that's close by. However, if that fire station cannot get to that person who is having a heart attack, or the kid's in a pool, on the bottom of the pool because of traffic, then the residents who buy into this beautiful area are not getting the best that we can give them. It's up to us as representing the public. And I think representing the public, it would best suit the residents who are going to buy into your beautiful area to have that civic pod kept public. I know it cuts into as many units as you could build, but my interest is to the public. Put a fire station, right there, so that those 1,000 of residents will have immediate access to EMS. And law enforcement is also important, but when you have a kid in the bottom of the pool, you have a man who is, a woman who's having a heart attack, and they're trying, that EMS is trying to get through traffic. They don't use helicopters. They got to go through traffic. And I think that it doesn't suit the public use. I represent the public use. And I'd like to see, everything else is fine. And I know we've done some good things for your company here on this particular site. But I think that the most important thing is to keep the public use public. Keep it public. And so I've asked you to do this before. Unfortunately, we didn't get to talk to each other till pretty late in the game. But would you consider moving forward with your application, but to keep that public civic pod, which is only 3 acres? You're getting 167.82 acres, and I'm just asking you to keep the 3 acres there on perfect site that it is, because it's right on the corner of those 2 roads. Would you consider that to keep it public, sir?
This is a policy decision of the board. We have requested, pursuant to our neighbors wanting us to see that building go from a 6-story building to a 4-story building, this is the opportunity to do that. And so we have committed to them that we will go through the process and request that the cash out occur. A couple things to keep in mind. These civic sites, if you do take them, they're off the tax roll. Number 2, they do require maintenance. We have several civic sites that we've conveyed to the county that are going on 15, 20 years that have gone undeveloped. So the county has to maintain those on an annual basis and just...
You're telling us that we need to maintain this. I'm telling you, sir, that we are committed to maintaining our civic center, especially this one. And I tell you what, I've gotten numerous letters from residents. So many of them are members of COBRA, many are not, that oppose this, and I'm not going to go into that. They're all matter of public record. I'm just asking you, because you represent the developer, if you would be willing to consider keeping that civic pod civic for, and it's our responsibility and our commitment to maintain it, all right? To keep it civic so that the public, because I represent the public, so that the public is able to be assured that they will have a fire station, EMS right there on that area, or a law enforcement. That's all I'm asking you.
It's the same answer, Commissioner. We've
And the answer is no.
We've committed to the adjoining associations that we would make the request. This is a policy call of the
Okay,
board.
so the answer is no, you will not. You will want to cash out and build more residences on that civic pod.
We're not adding any additional residences. It's 800 units in the before and it's 800 units in the after. There are no additional units associated with the 3.36 acres being added. It's the same number of units.
So you're going to keep it open? You're going to keep the 3 acres open for...
No, ma'am. We would
Okay.
combine it. That's what allows us to go from a 6-story building
So
to a 4-story.
you will do what
building.
with it,
It's the
sir?
same number of units. It's just you build a larger footprint that allows you to take 6-story building down to a 4-story building.
So the answer is no, you're going to cash out on it, you want to use
I'm
it?
being consistent with what I represented to the neighbors, that we would ask for the board to do the cash out. We have done the paperwork necessary to do that, inclusive of the appraisal, and that's what's before the board this morning.
Thank you. Briefly, before we move on, we're going to do disclosures real quick. We'll start with you, Commissioner Sacks.
Thank you, Mayor. On my disclosures, on number 1, I have emails received and filed with the clerk. I have an in-person meeting with Cliff Hertz and Kevin Rattery, and I've done, and no other correspondence or interviews. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. On item number 1, I had verbal communication with Misha Ezrati, Kevin Rattery, Cliff Hertz, Barbara Roth, Debbie Murphy, Dana Demos, Laura York, Brandon Furking, Josh Leroy, Dennis Cunningham, Kirk McDaniel, Jennifer Hamilton, Don Diamato, Cheryl Davis, and Bruce Tatlinger. I had email correspondence received and filed with the clerk.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yeah, I didn't get quite that many people, but I did have written communications with Cliff Hertz and Kevin Rattery, and verbal communications with Cliff Hertz and Kevin Rattery. No site visit, although I drive by it almost daily.
Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. I had verbal communications with Cliff Hertz and Kevin Rattery, and I have filed all of my correspondence with the clerk.
Thank you. I've also had emails that have been filed with the clerk and verbal communication with Kevin Rattery and Cliff Hertz, and no site visit. We have two.
If I may just,
Of
I'm
course.
sorry, but if I may just amend mine. I also had telephone conversations with Barbara Roth of Cobra and their executive board.
Thank you so much. And before we go any further, we're going to do comment cards. If you'd please call them up.
So I have two, is Robert Garraway and Jocelyn Harris Fitzroy. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. We have two podiums.
Good morning. My name is Jocelyn Harris Fitzroy, and I am a resident of Journey's End. I've been a resident there for 26 years. I'm one of the original homeowners there, and I'm here to offer opposition to this project. There are several reasons why. I know we only have the 3 minutes here, so I'll try to make it brief. As I stated, I'm one of the original homeowners, and I picked that lot because of its privacy and because it backed up to that golf course, and it's a premium lot. And obviously, that's all going to change with the construction that we're talking about here of this magnitude. We're talking about GL has offered to put a 6-foot wall up and then maybe another 12-foot of trees. But these homes that they're talking about building, these zero lot line homes, these hundreds of zero lot line homes, they'll be, upwards of 37 feet plus. So what you're really talking about looking at is quite a bit of just property on the other side of that wall where we had privacy. And speaking of what's there now, there are currently 30 feet tall areca palms that are there, so it offers a certain measure of privacy there. And we've recently found that these areca palms that we thought were partially on our land, when they did the survey recently that they did, they say they're all on the other side. They're all on the golf course side. And so it's entirely up to them to do what they want with them, and they're going to rip them all out. We're talking about hundreds of areca palms that extend the entire northern border of the Journey's End property and the golf course community. So they're going to rip all that out, and they're going to put what they're going to put in there, as I stated. And so I thought that was a bit of a travesty because we already had such a green space there. Also, there's the issue of the stormwater drainage. I'm concerned because currently my land floods a bit when it rains heavily, and when you have stormwater runoff for hundreds of homes, even though they're talking about putting a berm and possibly a swell and some drainage, I haven't seen anything in the drainage reports and that would illustrate how that's going to rectify that situation. So I'm concerned about flooding. And last but not least, of course, the traffic, which will be horrendous. We got some information that said something about they figure it was going to take maybe 300 and some odd additional trips a day. I don't see how that can happen, but roughly 2,000 people in the area going down an already congested corridor. So that's my time. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much.
And Commissioner Weiss, I think one of my neighbors sent you some pictures possibly of that berm that has all those areca palms down it. it gives us the privacy that we have. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Marino, you're recognized. Oh, we have one more. Good morning. Please state your name for the record.
Yes, I'm Robert Garraway. I am a resident of Journey's End. Initially, when I came, I wasn't planning on talking, but since I have the time, I'd like to say that I've been living at that place since its inception, also since 2001. And what I find interesting is that the density, I mean, if you look at where we are on the property of Journey's End, it's a larger place than what's planned to develop. And we only have 471 homes, single-family homes. To go from smaller, to build 800 units, 500 homes in a smaller area, will automatically understand it in the density that we're starting to talk about. I have noticed development in the area since I was there, and traffic has definitely become a problem over the years. So if you imagine putting in another 800 units, probably maybe 1,000 humans who would probably have cars might make the density, the overcrowding a little kind of unacceptable. Also, if you look at the school situation, the schools in the area already are crowded, so you'd have to find more schools for these younger folks that are coming in, and that could be a problem. Also, in terms of the architectural presentation of this place, there's no building in the area for at least 2 miles that is close to the height of what is being proposed. The closest thing must be at least 2 miles away, and the highest you will find is like 3 stores. So to go with a 6-story, which I understand now it's going to be 4, which is an improvement from 6, but you're still going to have the density because there's no indication that there's a reduction in the amount of people who will be living there. And I was surprised that when Commissioner Sachs made the recommendation that they agree to build an area for that would help in case you have emergency situations. The developer refused to accept that, which is kind of surprising. So I would prefer if at least something would be done with the density of the area, and reduce the density would be a much better situation to approve. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. Kevin, how did you know?
I don't know. Madam Mayor, just before you start, there are comment cards that were submitted by Winston Trails, Cobra, and Journey's End boards. So anyway, just FYI, they put in item B1 falls.
Would you like to respond before we move on to their cards? Or would you like to wait to the end?
Whatever you choose, Madam Mayor. I'm
Do you
I'm
have a
happy with that.
question now, or would you like to wait?
I'll wait till after the comments.
Okay.
That is right. It's just title B1 instead of A1, but doesn't matter. I have Laura York, Brandon Firking, and Barbara Rath.
Hi, my name is Laura York. I am the president of Winston Trails Foundation. I have a letter supporting from the board that I am authorized to talk today on behalf of the Winston Trails Foundation. We are in favor of this build out with the 4-story allotment. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
I do not see any questions. Thank you for your comments. Next up, we have
Brandon Firkin and Barbara Roth.
Hello, thank you, Commissioner.
Please state your name.
My name is Brandon Frerking. I am here on behalf of Journey's End Board. I also have a letter authorizing myself as well as our president, Josh, to speak.
Good morning. Sorry, I was in court across the street. I ran late and I didn't get a comment card before the hearing started. So we are here on behalf of Journey's End. We neighbor the property directly north. I understand some of our residents voiced opinions earlier, but we as a board support the requests to change the zoning of this property from recreational to the PUD. We recognize and support the idea of 800 units on said property, and we do support the idea of a cash out of that civic pod. In fact, that is one of the primary reasons for our support, is that cash out of that civic pod to enable them to lower the height of this building from 6 stories to 4 stories. That is an important part for us, and we support GL doing that. And we also recognize that they're asking for a 42-foot height for said building for that 4 stories. And obviously we support that as well.
Thank you so much. Barbara Roth. There you go.
Good morning, Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you very much. I think this is the first time I'm addressing this body in the new year, so I wish you all well. I represent COBRA. We've been around for 45 years, and during that time, one of our major objectives has been to look at the reality of growth management and to weigh that with the safety and security and well-being of our residents for 45 years. This area, this site is right in the center of the Cobra area. It is in District 2. When it was brought to us, the first thing we thought of was the possibility of allowing GL to cash out on that civic site and therefore bring the height down. We went as soon as we could to the district commissioner, Commissioner Greg Weiss, Debbie Murphy and I, she's our first vice president, and I spoke about the reason for our suggestion. COBRA is not happy about anything 6 stories in the COBRA area. The only time we have supported such a height was for the Bethesda West Hospital. And that was because it met a safety and security need of our residents way back. And we accepted that and worked with that development. However, to have a 6-story structure on Jog and Hypoluxo was just not going to sit well. The surrounding communities are longtime members of COBRA. Part of our responsibility is to work with them to educate them on the realities of development. This is not the Ag Reserve. Often when people hear COBRA, they associate it with Ag Reserve. We made it very clear, nope, this is right in District 2. We're proud of that area. I also immediately checked with the school district because we're concerned about the school sending areas for our residents, and I was assured by school board chair and the superintendent that there would not be an issue. Traffic. Where do we begin on traffic? There are so many issues, and you have heard us before, certainly in regard to Boynton Beach Boulevard, and you will all be hearing us again very soon again on that issue. And we share the concerns of Commissioner Sachs about traffic, and you've heard COBRA over and over again on that. But we believe that the safety needs, because of the locations nearby of PBSO and the fire station, allow our residents in that area to be safe and secure. So I respectfully request that you approve this cash out. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roth. We do not have any more cards, sir. If
Yes,
you'd like to tell us your name.
My name is Marcus Vadnez. I'm a resident in Palm Beach County. I'm just requesting your grace that I was not able to fill out a yellow card, and I would like to insert my...
If you will fill out a card after your comments, we'd greatly appreciate that.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, yes, so like I said, my name is Marcus Vadnez. I'm actually a very young resident, pardon my attire, but I'm actually not here to argue that growth is, it's inevitable because we're in Palm Beach County, but basically, my concern is how we grow and how what we're going to permanently lose in the process. So this site was obviously previously a golf course, and whether or not golf remains viable, the land has functioned as open space and visual relief along this corridor. Once developed, that openness cannot be restored. So if this rezoning to planned development unit is approved, I strongly urge the board to require meaningful protections that preserve corridor character. That should include a substantial green buffer along the roadway, retention of mature tree canopy where possible, height limitations near the perimeter, and clustering of development away from the road so that the open feel of the corridor is maintained. Okay. I also am concerned about the request to cash out on the civic site. Physical land set aside for public use is permanent. A monetary contribution does not guarantee that future residents will have accessible civic space within this community. As this area builds out, preserving actual land for public use becomes more important, not less. The decision is not just about one parcel, it's about cumulative change. If redevelopment proceeds, it should be done in a way that protects long-term community character and avoids accelerating roadway expansion pressures in the surrounding area. And finally, I respectfully ask the board to prioritize permanent open space preservation and the thoughtful design conditions over maximizing build-out. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Okay, Kevin, now that you're back. What is the allowable density on this property?
838 homes.
And you are proposing 800? 27 of which are affordable housing?
Yes, ma'am.
So you are building affordable housing in your project. Yoo-hoo, we like that. Now, the combination of the 27 homes for the audience, can you tell us where they will be?
They will be part of the rental project.
Okay, none will be the single family?
Correct.
Okay. And the cash out, how far are you from the nearest fire station?
0.7 miles?
Less than a mile?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And by doing the cash out, and you said how many parcels do we have not in use? You said a reference of about 15 parcels that you have that GL has donated. That
we've done. I didn't throw out a number. We've done quite a few where we've had a combination over the years of cash outs, and we've had a combination of dedications. There are several dedications that were dedicated 15 some odd years ago.
Oh, there's the number. Thank you.
That are still undeveloped, that's county prerogative. Understood. It was just for reference point.
That's all right. We understand that in Gardens we had 80 acres that had sat quietly for 20 years and now is a district park. So, but the burden of that was taken on by the city of Palm Beach Gardens. That is neither here nor there for this discussion. The cashing out would allow you, and this was in support, Ms. Roth, thank you for saying this, and you all too. With the cash out, you are able to lower the height of the building from 6 stories to 4 stories.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that has no effect on the density?
That is correct.
Okay. Is there a bus stop near the residential, near the rental portion?
We have a bus stop designed as part of the design of the project, both school and Palm Tran.
I have no more questions. You've answered them, all of them. With that, I will make the motion to approve. And motion to approve B1A and B.
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino. Do I have a second? I have a second by Commissioner Weiss, and you are also recognized for your comment.
Not for you, Kevin. Not yet, anyways. Yeah. So, yeah, second for discussion. So, I received some emails and questions from residents, and so I'd like to ask staff if you can help address some of these questions for them. And we did hear from Ms. Roth, but can you verify regarding, their question came up regarding schools, and can you explain how we determine the availability of schools and the requirements when somebody submits an application like this?
So as part of the review of all of our applications that are residential, the applicant meets with the school district. They've submitted a school capacity availability determination letter to us in which they have analyzed the capacities of the schools, and we've included that in the backup. So the school board is the one that analyzes it.
So they've analyzed it, and what was their conclusion? They'll be under capacity.
Yes. I'm pulling it up really quick.
You want to know the page?
It's on the last page.
It's Exhibit E12.
Correspondence. It is coming.
Oh, there you go.
School district staff recommendation.
Okay. All right, thank you. As it relates to roadway and traffic, what is allowable in terms of our authority regulating development relative to traffic?
The county has a traffic performance standards, and every project has to meet those traffic performance standards based on capacity and the state statutes. So based on the state statutes, they meet the traffic performance standards.
Okay, thank you. While we were, and then we heard from a couple of folks here. One of the issues that was brought up was drainage. Scott, can you address that, please, for Mr. Cantor?
Sure. So I'm Scott Cantor, Director of Land Development. So yeah, Journey's End, well, let me start first. The golf course existed first. They had their own separate drainage, outfalls to the Lake Worth Drainage District, L18 Canal to the south. About 10 years later, Journey's End came in, and they have a total separate drainage system. They do not utilize the golf course for drainage whatsoever. So the lots that are actually on the south end that abut the golf course, there's an open space tract that separates the lots from the golf course, and the tract drains north through the Journey's End system. So there's really no commingling of drainage, and the design for the new development will be such that those lots that will be on the north end that abut the Journey's End, they will all drain to the south through their system, and then they'll be separated by a berm that is, we have a minimum standard, a minimum height based on a design stage for their site that would prevent, in storm events from the drainage to spill into Journey's End to the north. It'll all be directed south to the L18 canal.
Okay, so the drainage, the new development would be responsible for all their own water and drainage, and if there was historical drainage onto the golf course, they would be required to take that.
Yes, that is correct. The thing is, Journey's End is a fairly new development, and they do have a land development permit in South Florida permit where they also have a perimeter berm. So they are responsible for all of their own drainage.
Okay.
So there's with no anticipation that there is any historical drainage to the south into the golf course. That's not how that development was permitted.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. And then as it relates, we've talked about building height. People talk about stories, but you all don't in our development regulations. It's not about stories, is it? It's about the height of the building in feet, in inches, correct?
Correct.
And so with just a standard home in Palm Beach County, what's the allowable height by right?
So ultimately, across the board, it's all 35 feet. For single-family homes and single-family districts, 35 is the maximum height. When you're dealing with multifamily and commercial, they can go above 35 feet, but they have increased setbacks that go along with the increase in height.
Okay, but a single-family home by right anywhere in
It'd be 35
unincorporated Palm Beach County is 35 feet.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you could put 3 stories and 35 feet
Yep.
if you had 10-foot ceilings.
Correct.
Okay. And then you have in there, I think there's also in the, some of the requirements in there is that they're going to have to do some roadway testing to determine if in fact it warrants a traffic light. Is that required? That's
Correct. I mean, it will be based on the real traffic when the homes are built, but from the onset, we will ask for a surety from the developer to, put out, for the signal.
Okay,
So we will have the money before, the requirements are determined.
But as this project gets built out, if the traffic performance requires it, then the money is there.
Correct.
To add a traffic light.
Correct.
Okay. And I really appreciate, first off, I appreciate the work of Cobra, always. I think, and I really appreciate, though, the neighboring boards that reached out. They had very good questions and concerns, and I'm glad that they were able to meet with the applicant and have those addressed. It's change is always, it's never easy, and to have, folks in their backyards, they were looking out on a golf course, and to have that taken away it's a big change. On the other hand, there's property rights, and I believe, the applicant, whether they kept it a golf course or not, could have come in and asked to build a wall separating the properties if they had wanted to, and of course changed that away, and as well as changing the foliage that is there. They have a right to do that. So, but I certainly understand it, and I appreciate the folks coming to speak to us. I think the issues that have been raised by the constituents that live nearby have been addressed, I think, by the work that you all did and the HOAs did working with the applicant. So I will be supporting this. I'll be supporting the cash out. I have no problem having this move to 4 stories. I think having services close by, I feel comfortable with that, and there is no current use identified for that property. So I will, I made the second, but I will be supporting that with my vote as well.
Commissioner Sacks and then Commissioner Flores.
Thank you so much, Mayor. 4 stories would be compatible with the surrounding areas, and that was brought up by Cobra. So we're not asking any privilege for them to keep it at 4 stories, because compatibility is a very important item before we consent in a zoning issue. Compatibility is very important. Ms. Roth, you brought up a very good point. 4 stories is compatible with everything in that area except the hospital. So asking for 4 stories, they're not giving us anything. What we're doing is that is consistent with the area surrounding this new development. So that's a given. And to ask the public to give up a civic pod. There are 800 units between the next EMS, which is fire station, and that all these new residents is just asking too much. And why should we, representing the public, give up that opportunity for safety and security for not only the new residents that are coming in, but also the residents who already live in that area? To me, it's asking too much. And I, representing the public, I am not willing to do it, and I won't do it. And I won't agree to this, because I don't not think that the public should give up opportunity to have safety and security for all these new residents, thousands of new residents, as well as for the residents who already live there. Traffic. According to our traffic engineer, there's going to be 6,362 additional daily trips. We can do better than this. We can develop better than this. We need housing, but we need smart development. I don't want to say smart developers, because y'all are very smart, sometimes too smart. And we discussed this in my office. But we can do better to develop housing, smart development, without increasing the daily trips on our roadways. So for two reasons, I think that we can do better. One, I'm not willing to give up public space for an item that is already required and should be required and is required under our ULDC, and that's compatibility. And the second thing is we can build smarter housing without adding to our daily trips and increasing our traffic. So I want to thank you. The applicant has done a good job, and thank staff for working on it, and of course, thank Cobra. But I think that Palm Beach County deserves better, and I think we will get it, and that's why I oppose this. Thank you.
Next. So I want to talk about some of the comments that Commissioner Sachs just made about civic sites. I agree. I agree with 99% of everything that Commissioner Sachs just said. When we are planning for the future, these civic sites are required because we need to be able to provide the services to these residents that are being added to our community. As we look and we do the analysis, and I'm very familiar with this particular intersection. I used to live in Red Reef at Lake Charleston for probably 8 years. My district is just east of this particular site. So I'm very familiar with this particular lot. I know that there is a fire station right down the road, probably about a half a mile. Also know there is a PBSO substation right next to that, or a little bit further up or south by the Park Vista High School. So I know that there are services there. Right there also in that Park Vista area, we have recreation. And this is where I want to stick to here. That particular park is overburdened. If you go there in the evenings, there is no place to park. There is very little community access to that park because it's just saturated. So we do have to look at this, and it's part of this board to make sure that when we add more housing, there is a level of service that we have to maintain and look at. As far as safety, I feel okay moving forward with this particular project. But we need to look at Parks and Recs. We looked at the master plan for Parks and Recs, and we have a deficiency. So we can't cash out every single civic site, because I think we owe it to our residents to provide a level of service to our community. So I am going to go along with this today, because from the safety side, we're covered. But I think from Parks and Recs, I don't think we're covered. I think there is a need in the area. I have had to drive around in that particular park for half an hour looking for a parking. What that tells me is it's highly utilized, and there's more people than there is access to recreation. So we have to look at that. And by the way, west of Jog and Hypoluxo has been developed very heavily, and there's no parks out there. So we really have to make a conscious effort that when we approve these projects, we're looking at level of service, because our residents are accustomed to a standard and a quality of living of Palm Beach County, and we owe it to them. And we know from our recreational master plan, there is a deficiency that we're looming in Parks and Recs. So I wanted to put that on the record. And secondly, when we do the math for workforce housing units. Sorry, Kevin, this is my thing. Walk me through the math, right? So they have to, for single family, there is 17 workforce housing units that are required, right? And then from the multifamily side, there are 10 requirements,
That's correct.
correct?
Yes.
My understanding was, so that 17 plus 10 equals 27. My understanding was that when you went from single to rental, there was a multiplier. Is that not the case?
That is true. By the way, Travis Goodson with the Planning Division, that provision applies when you are providing the units off-site. So
Off-site. So
off-site.
if it's on-site, there's no multiplier.
Correct. Correct. But if they continue down the path of the providing off-site, let's say, the off-site exchange builder could do the 10 units as single family and do that, and then there's no multiplier. But if they provide all of the units off-site as rentals, then the multiplier kicks in.
Okay. Okay, those are the questions I had. Thank you so much.
We have a motion and a second. Are you, clerk, you good? Commissioner Marino, Commissioner Weiss? No more comments. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 4-1. Moving on to item number 2.
Mayor,
Item number 2 is related to our ULDC. It's for freestanding emergency department, modifying specifically our
Wendy,
medical
one
office.
second. Commissioner Marino, did you have
I
a
was going to
comment?
say, we've heard this quite a few times. I don't
Yes.
think, from my perspective, I don't need a presentation.
Does anyone else need a presentation? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
There's a card.
Is there a card? Oh, 5 cards on this. Excuse me, but I do have a first by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Flores, and we will take cards at this time.
Alexandria Larson, Drew Martin,
My name is Don Chester. I'm Assistant Administrator.
Don Chester, and Sharon Waite.
Don, 1 second. Let's let the,
Oh, hi. Thank you. I'm sorry, I normally raise this up just for a slam dunk contest, but I'm making
can't
an
hear you.
exception here. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Can you hear me now? Thank you very much. We fully support this, but what I would like to do is have our opportunities to participate in the establishment of the regulations. We know that. It says in the motion, in the related item here, that it says we will establish regulations for freestanding emergency rooms. And we just like to have some input in that, because that's where our expertise is. That's all we're asking for. Fully support it. I truly appreciate the commission realizing that there's a big difference between a hospital and a freestanding ER. So thank you.
Don, has staff reached out to you in regards to any of this?
Pardon me?
Has staff reached out to you in regards to any of this?
Yeah, it just slightly, but not really. We really haven't discussed it. And that's what we would like the opportunity to do.
Well, Pat's not here, but without objection, I would like to direct staff to please work with them going forward. Commissioner,
Isn't this adopting the regulations? This
Final
is
adoption of the
adopting.
regulations.
And
you
we-
said you wanted to work together moving forward.
Absolutely. Just to make, this is our area of expertise. And we would just like to say, this is what we can do, this is what we can't do, so that everybody has a standard.
Have you had a chance to review what we're approving today?
Yes.
And are
we
you-
think it's fine, but sometimes the regulations get interpreted in different ways. And that's all. It's very simple. That way we have one standard. There's an incredibly number of standards for hospitals. We would just like to make sure that there is a standard for freestanding ERs. Because I think there's going to be a lot around Palm Beach County over time.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you. Don, when you say "we," remind me who the "we" is?
Well, what I'm saying right now is hospitals. We, from my point of view, we are Palm Beach Gardens, St. Mary's, Good Sam, Del Rey, and West Boca medical centers. But I'm sure the HCA hospitals and the Baptist hospitals would also like the opportunity to participate, and and also Jupiter.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Next card. Alexandria Larson.
I really enjoyed the Jerry Springer aspect of our county last night. I'm worried about hospitals because HCA has taken over several of the hospitals that were independent, like Palms West, out where I live, was a owned hospital. You know, it was like the community hospital. And the changes are becoming really, the aspects that are hitting the neighbors are amazing. Because I don't know, commissioners, if you're out there and your constituents tell you about it, but we've got hospitals saying, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that, we're going to change this, we're going to change that. That's a big problem for everybody. You know, they're just, it is. I mean, behind Palms West, there's 2 one-story buildings that they want to get rid of so they can build a 60-story building. The height thing is what's really changing in our county. So I hope you'll look into this with your regulations, because proposing and adopting on the same day isn't right. It should be a little bit separate, maybe a month, so somebody can look at the regulations and get an idea and maybe give you some input on maybe what shouldn't be changed in the ULDC. I think the ULDC's turned into Swiss cheese. It really has, because I always believed in the ULDC up until the early, 2004, 5, 6, but not now. Because we do this, we adopt and then we propose something and we adopt it on the same day. You can't do that. There has to be a breather period, just a breathing period, a week, a month, where the constituents can look at what you guys are doing. So please take that into consideration. I don't think you should be doing an adoption and everything in one day, because that's what, the other 4 items are on the bottom of this. The staff recommends, they recommend that you adopt this on the same day that you're recommending something. And I think there should be breathing room and where people are allowed to look at the backup and maybe give you some ideas that might work. I don't like what I see in the county today. I don't like seeing that we were doing a item here that had nothing to do with zoning today. And I wouldn't have found it if I wasn't just scrolling down an agenda where I would never expect to find it. Happened twice now because it hasn't. And my 30 years of coming, and maybe in the last couple of years they might have put it in, but no, we didn't put other things on other items on other agendas. Because I've been doing this a long time. So please let the constituents have a look at stuff, please. Thanks.
Wendy, would you like to address how many readings we've had of this?
Yes, so this is a privately proposed revision. This went to Zoning Commission October 3rd and had a vote. It went to the Board of County Commissioners on October 23rd for Phase 1 for a vote. It went for permission to advertise on December 10th for a vote. It went back to Zoning Commission on January 8th, and then last month, on January 22nd, it was before the Board of County Commissioners, and again on February 26th before the board. So it's been several public hearings that have been advertised.
Thank you so much. The next card, Commissioner? Sharon Waite.
I'm here.
Hey, Drew,
here
you
with
put
bells
one
on.
for item 6. I mistake, so it's Sharon Waite.
Okay, when I see that picture up there of that emergency room, if that's what I've been there with a very sick patient one time, I took her in there. That's way down on Okeechobee City, way down east, way east of me, like 15 miles east of me. I live in the acreage, as you know. I'm Sharon Waite, by the way. And this change is ill-advised, and I know I'm way behind the 8 ball here. But if you're thinking of putting one of these things in the acreage on the corner of Seminole and Orange, I'm just saying, you're trying to take out that Walgreens that's right on the corner there? Because that's what you'd have to do to have that monstrosity.
Wendy, would you like to address, do we have any applications to do this sort of
anything in the acreage like that, monstrosity there?
We have an application in that is scheduled to come before the board next month at Seminole and Orange.
But are they converting a Walgreens or are they building a new building?
Building a new building.
Where? Do you mind me asking?
Seminole, Pratt, and Orange.
Seminole, Pratt, and
Where?
Orange.
It's a dead-end street right there.
There are multiple lots in the Seminole, Pratt, Orange.
I believe it's near the
MPD.
dentist.
Yeah. There's an open parcel.
So there's a
that's
McDonald's
left
and then a dentist
Across
and then
the
an open
street.
field.
Where's that monster going to go in back?
It's a big, open.
I can, if
Area.
you want, after the hearing.
I live
can
right
talk
there.
to-
I know exactly what you're talking about. I
Okay.
live across the road.
Yes, it's proposed right there.
It's
and it'll
only
be
a
before the
two-lane little
board.
road. You going to make that a monster street too?
So
I don't see anything that when they come to you to build anything, where's the infrastructure?
Okay, I think the agent is, or the representation, the attorney for the agent is here. He can speak with you after the meeting or after this.
We're happy to go over the plan and talk. We're sitting right in the back.
That'll be
We're
fine.
happy
I'll
to
meet
sit
you.
down. Yes,
Right.
thank you.
And that
Thank
will
you.
be next month, so.
Okay, we have a first and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 5-0. We have postponed item 3, so we will move to item 4.
So item 4 is a modification to the ULDC relative to our workforce housing program. The request before the board is permission to advertise. We had a correction on the add delete that the motion would just be for B and C. Would you like a presentation from staff?
Would anyone like a presentation on this? Thank you.
I don't know if we have any
We have
cards.
4.
B and C. Oh.
Do we have any cards? 2 cards at number 4? So let's take those.
I got Linda, Charles, and Cindy LaCourse Blum.
Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, staff.
Good morning.
So
Please,
please
state your name for the
Linda
record.
Charles, 218 Bush Street, Boynton Beach, Florida. And I'm with Partners for Housing, Palm Beach County, representing them here today. Just want to say kudos to staff for bringing this item back to ask for an approval to allow the restricted units for projects that are being built at 100% workforce housing, so not to have to buy back the workforce housing unit to meet the zoning regulations. So the nonprofits already struggle to develop for sale housing and selling them at the 120% AMI. So that will help them to reach some kind of economy of scale and reduce the cost burden when we are allowed to use those existing restricted units as part of the workforce housing. So I think in this case, in the affordable housing, instead of thinking of double dipping, maybe we should think more about leveraging. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Cindy LaCourse Bloom, Executive Director of the Community Land Trust of Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast. I echo Linda to say thank you so much for bringing this back and considering this change that would really exacerbate our ability to do homeownership housing that's much needed in the workforce housing program. We went over this in detail the last time, but just quickly, how this current requirement works for a project is, I'll give you an example. We had a 20-unit development where our zoning was 15 units and we got a 5-unit bonus density. We chose, through the workforce housing program, we chose to do all the units at 120% below AMI, but because of that bonus density, we're required to do one of those 5 bonus density units for workforce housing. It is priced at workforce housing, but it has to be an unencumbered unit based on current requirements, and that's problematic because we don't have any market rate units to be able to provide an unencumbered unit, so that's kind of why we're asking for some clarification or some changes to the code to allow that and let us keep all the units restricted so that we can meet our mission. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I'd just like to clarify the motions because the letters got re-lettered on the add delete. So motion A would be to receive and file the business impact statement, and motion B would be approval of permission to advertise for first reading and adoption at the BCC Zoning Hearing on March 26th.
I have a motion by Commissioner Marino. A second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 5-0. Thank you so much. Since number 5 was postponed, we are going to move on to number 6. Before I'm going to ask for a motion. I think we're going to have some discussion on the master plan. Would we mind if we took 7 before 6? I'll entertain a motion to reorder the agenda. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino, a second by Commissioner Sacks. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 5-0.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Oh, she's not here. Commissioners, Twee Shutt for the record from the Planning Division. I know representative from the Village of Wellington's here. If there's any questions, I can do a brief, unless you want the full presentation, I can do a very brief presentation. Okay.
I don't think we need full or, I'm going to ask a few questions if that's okay to clarify a
Not
few
a
things.
problem.
It says here in our backup that there were objections by staff to annexation.
Yes. So if we can go to the PowerPoint, which is, that's the briefing. There should be a PowerPoint. Yeah, that's the agenda briefing. So there are 2 processes in the works. One has been initiated, both have been initiated by the Village of Wellington. The first one was an annexation of just Artistry PUD, which is located approximately 1.7 mile
Am I
west.
correct that they didn't meet the standards
They
for
didn't meet
annexation?
under that particular statutes because of contiguity and as well as that it was not a developed parcel. So they met with staff on February 6th and asked if the county would consider the ISBA process, which is an interlocal service boundary agreement, which under that statute allows a little more flexibility for the county and the village to consider coordinated services as well as annexation, future annexation, as well as consent with any of the property owners in there. So it allows staff and the village to negotiate while they're still going through the other annexation. So a point to note, the other annexation, they have to do 2 hearings. The first one has already occurred on January 12th, and the county objected to that. The second hearing will be on March 10th, so we reserve our rights to object as well for that. But in the meantime, we would like to offer for the board to consider the responding resolution to the village initiating resolution. This responding resolution must be adopted within 60 days of their initiating resolution. So the village has already initiated and approved that. So we would ask your consideration so that staff can start negotiation with the ISBA.
What happens if we don't approve this?
The statute requires, sorry, question my idea.
Darren can.
Yes, please. Darren.
Right, so all we're approving right now is a responding resolution that just obligates us to negotiate in good faith with the village. We have to approve a responding resolution. The statute says the county shall approve a responding resolution, but that does not mean that at the end of the road, we enter into an ISBA. We negotiate with them. If we're unable to reach an agreement, that's it's the way it goes, so.
Commissioner Sacks, you're recognized.
So, Mr. Attorney, in answer to the mayor's question, we have to approve this.
Yes, we have to approve this responding resolution.
statute.
We don't have to necessarily do it today. Like Twee said, we have 60 days from the date of receipt, but we're here now, so we have to do it, so.
So you recommend that we do it today?
My recommendation would be to do it. You can add issues if you would like to.
Such as?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be up to you
Commissioner Marino,
guys.
you're recognized.
No matter what we do for this particular piece of property, the north end border of this property, the property of Arden, needs to have an exit. We are setting ourselves up for failure when you have a development that only has one entrance and one exit. So my direction or recommendation to staff is you figure out a way, and I know we're working on possible extension of Okeechobee Boulevard, but there needs to be an additional exit out of these developments. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Yeah, just to Commissioner Marino's comment, my recollection is that there was, when we approved the artistry parcel for development, we included back in there was right-of-way dedication for a road. And so my question would be, if they annex that, if it were to be annexed, that dedication would still exist?
Okay, so if it's annexed, then the village would be responsible for the zoning and the planning of that property as soon as they adopt a comprehensive plan amendment, bringing the property into the village. So they could potentially get rid of that dedication. Yeah, they could undo what we've approved. So the point of the ISBA is to negotiate those issues. We would have the opportunity to negotiate the terms of the annexation. And so I think in that respect, this might be a better process than just a straight up annexation with consent from the landowner.
So, okay, I'm glad you made that clear, because I had assumed that if we had entitled that land as such, that it would stay with it, but.
That would be up to the village after annexation.
Okay.
I'll entertain a motion. I got a card in this. Is there a card? Three cards. Please call them up.
I have Drew Martin, Sharon Waite, and Alexandria Larson.
Go ahead, Drew.
Go first?
I'll go. Sharon Waite, Loxahatchee, Florida. This looks like encroachment to me. I don't think they should be able to jump over the pond. Maybe that doesn't make sense to you, but the way it looks to me is Wellington is looking to encroach on what we have in the acreage. It is not appropriate, and they don't fit in. Their way of doing things over there are totally different from what we have. And that's my opinion.
Drew Martin.
Drew Martin. I'm here on behalf of the Loxahatchee Group of the Sierra Club, represent Palm Beach, Martin, and St. Lucie counties. I'm opposed to this, but for the reasons that Sharon just mentioned, but it just seems to me that Wellington's already big enough, and it's already got enough density and traffic problems. And this seems to me will add to all those problems and carry it over into the acreage area where this is near. I'm not sure why the county wants to give this up. What do you gain by giving this up?
Nothing.
It doesn't make sense to me. I'm disappointed when an attorney says you have to approve it, because then what's the purpose of having thinking, intelligent people sit on the commission if they have to approve things? then they're no longer anybody could do it. You know, you could put 5 rabbits up there that could approve it. So, I don't know, but I mean, I guess the attorney knows the law. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to question his legal abilities. But I do think that this area should be left in the county where it will fit better into the county's plans. Once the county gives this up, it looks like the county's going to have no control over it. And I suppose you'll negotiate, but Wellington may just decide to tell you, forget it, and ignore everything you say. So for those reasons and what Sharon said, I would oppose. Thank you.
Thank you.
The county staff already said this was inconsistent. It also says in here that it has to be done for urban purposes. It's not urban out where we live. I know Arden likes to forget who we are, but we're 17,000 lots over a big piece of land, a lot of land. It's not all crouched in on one spot.
Ms. Larson, just to clarify, that's for annexation, so they changed what they're asking for
Yeah,
now.
well, you annexed something that was illegal just to the east when they only had 19 votes, and in our charter, it says you have to have 25. You guys ignored that completely. Your voting people voted, you ignored it, and you ignored it. You did. They voted 19. Your charter says 25 have to vote for it. So the annexation wasn't good to begin with. That's your charter, not mine. I didn't write the charter. It's just what it says. And urban purposes, this is not an urban area. We spent last night arguing about what's out there, the aggregates and mining. And I mean, a lot of stuff was done really egregiously. I mean, what kills me, commissioners, is I'm going back to college again from 2004. And I don't know if you remember the results of what happened in 2003 and 4. A couple of commissioners left the dais. All I can pray for is it happens again. We find what's wrong with everything and fix it. Because I don't want to do it over and over again. We just think we're going to forget it. We forgot what happened. Because Wellington jumped it's like jumping the broom. They say jumping the broom when you're married. And they did. They don't belong on the north side of Southern. It was done egregiously. Nobody was notified. There's a bunch of stuff we don't get notified for. And I think the constituents deserve to be notified. And Basehart, I heard a lot of stuff about that annexation and everybody what they were doing. But the one thing is that should go back and be reviewed by our voting people and you, our commissioners, because it was done incorrectly. If you got to have 25 votes, then you better have 25, not 19. And then this is here, and it says urban purposes. It is not urban out there, We are not urban in any way, shape, or form. And we kind of like it the way it is, So hopefully you'll take that into consideration, because when the comprehensive plan was done, they sent out cards and asked everybody how they wanted to live. And they listened for a while. But I mean, if you want people to go to court, if you want to get sued, if you want to have a hard time, we're going to have at it anymore. We're tired. We're tired of they think you forget. Because, the little thing that's up here, there's something up here next. And we're doing the best we can, commissioners, but we should be notified. And it should be done correctly.
Darren, is there something in our charter that says that it requires 25 votes?
No. No, it does not. I have it in front of me.
Hold on. Would you
I have it in front of me.
clarify
Yes.
the information?
So section 7.1 of the charter discusses voluntary annexations. If the area is in what we call the unincorporated rural neighborhood, then it requires a supermajority of the vote to approve the voluntary annexation. And then it goes on to discuss areas eligible to be designated by ordinance as unincorporated rural neighborhoods must be located in the unincorporated protection area and are limited to recorded subdivisions and antiquated subdivisions as defined in the Palm Beach County Comprehensive Plan, located in the exurban or rural tiers of the Palm Beach County Comprehensive Plan, and other residential neighborhoods located in the exurban tier and rural tiers with at least 25 dwelling units as of the effective date of this charter amendment. So you do not need 25 people to vote to be annexed. It's just if the to qualify as an urban protection area or whatever it is, there has to be at least 25 dwelling units.
Just for the record, I was not in favor of that annexation originally, but again, ultimately, all the residents showed up who wanted to be annexed into Wellington. And
That's correct.
Again, it is our job to represent those residents. So now, this is coming before us again. I'm still not in favor. I do not see the benefit to the residents for annexation into Wellington, and that's where this is heading. It's just our ability to negotiate is what we're voting on today.
Correct. You are not voting on an annexation. You're just voting on the negotiations. The annexation will still require the consent of the residents of the various areas that would be subject to annexation.
But could they take that vote before that property is developed? Because then those residents, future residents, would have no say, right?
So the current owner, they have not developed the property. So as part of the ISBA, they could consent, the current owner, and consent to annexation. And if this board approves the ISBA that approves that consent process, then yes, they
Could
would.
they get an annexation then on one vote?
Essentially, yeah, as the property owner. It's,
So essentially, voting on approving this, we're giving the property owner the ability to make a single vote to annex?
no, you are not. Because, first of all, you do not have to enter into the ISBA, right? You have that discretion not to. On the other side, we have, I believe, very solid legal grounds to object to the annexation that they've already got in process. And I believe we would prevail on that because the property is not developed for urban purposes.
And this resolution is just negotiating joining that ISBA?
This resolution is just negotiating the ISBA, yes. You are not approving the ISBA, you are not approving any annexation at this point. All you are doing is approving staff to enter into good faith negotiations with the Village of Wellington over which this ISBA could come back and be, well, we're not going to annex that property. We're going to annex this other property. We don't know at this point. It's just opening the door to be able to make those discussions.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Couple things. And I understand we have representatives from the Village of Wellington here.
Hi, good morning. Tim Stillings, Planning Director for the Village of Wellington, and thank you for taking up this item this morning. As Mr. Lester said, this is an opportunity for us to begin some negotiations and discussions with county staff, ultimately to bring an agreement to the county commission to address the opportunities for annexation that our council continues to pursue. We do share some of the same concerns the county commission has regarding not only roadway connections, access to these communities, and also fire safety. So we are committed to ensuring that those are addressed, along with all the other service provisions in this area, utilities, drainage, et cetera.
I appreciate that. My recollection was when you all, or when representatives from the village came and regarding the other annexation, and I was with the mayor, I think, at the time as well, and not being supportive of it, but I'm always willing to put something, and at that case, I was willing to listen to what the residents had to say, and so I agreed to move that forward. But I also recall, at the time, you all said, that's it, that's all we're doing, and so it gives me pause, and not to say, and understanding what's in front of us today is not approving an annexation, but rather the ability for our staff to negotiate with you all. But if folks can come into the chamber and tell us they're not going to do something and then they turn around and do it, and I understand it was your board made that decision to move forward with this annexation, and as staff, that's what you do. You follow the direction of your board, but that is a little troubling. Well, it's actually a lot of troubling.
Commissioner, I apologize if there was any miscommunication. I think the message was that at that time, that's all we were pursuing, and that we've been open and clear that we're engaging in any interest by the property owners north of us who want to join the Wellington limits. And so while, again, I apologize for any miscommunication or misunderstanding there, I don't know that we were necessarily saying that was going to be it.
Okay.
That's all that we were entertaining at that time.
So then to ask, I mean, what is, and I know you're standing in front of us today saying that you have the same concerns, but what assurance would there be that in fact that land, that was dedicated, so we approved development back there, the land that was dedicated for the right-of-way will remain so that in fact, I mean, because it is an issue to have another egress and ingress to those communities.
Well, the first assurance is that as part of the annexation, the county's approval is staying intact. We would then implement your approval until subsequent changes are made. They have asked for some modifications to their plan, but that's not related to the roadway. But we will ensure as part of the agreement that those commitments are made, and that not only related to the roadways, as I mentioned, other conditions regarding fire safety and other utility services as well.
Okay. All right. I appreciate you being here and being able to comment on that. So, but I think you're hearing from the board, and I'm sure you'll take back, and I'm sure your folks back there's deep concern about what all's happening, at least for me, but I think my colleagues are sharing it as well.
And I believe our council shares the same concerns in terms of the access and circulation. Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Weiss. What guarantees, so one of the things that's very important to myself is that we do not cram high-density housing next to agriculture. The two are not compatible. Even the property just east of Arden, if you look at the site plan, it goes all the way back to, I believe, up to 1 and 3 acre lots as it gets closer to 5 acre lots. And they reduced those numbers by almost half in density because, again, roads, infrastructure, all these problems we have already. What guarantee do we have that this isn't going to end up being a lot more dense?
Well, I don't know that I can provide any guarantees in terms of the development in the future, but I know within the agreement we can establish our relationship with the county as it relates to planning and development review. With respect to Artistry Lakes, the density is remaining at the levels approved by the county commission. In fact, I believe there might be even a lowering just a few decimal points. The other areas, I think we would expect to see them develop in a similar manner, but we can definitely ensure that the ISBA addresses all of those concerns.
Darren, what ability do we have to direct for those negotiations now?
So currently, our ordinance, our responding resolution is drafted so that it gives us leeway to discuss various topics. But as the commission, you are allowed to identify additional unincorporated area or incorporated area or both for discussion, and you can add additional issues for negotiation as well.
Well, can we add, right, if we enter into this resolution, that the road, we would want that road right-of-way to stay
Yes.
intact? Can
Yeah,
we
you could add,
that we would want density limits? Is that possible?
you could add an item that says, I don't know how to phrase it at this moment, but those road, that would be in those, keeping those road, I guess, rights-of-way or dedications as is would be an issue for discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And keeping densities at levels consistent, however we would phrase it, but we could add those as issues to the responding resolution.
What is the current density on the old Fleming property?
Sorry, the current density, the maximum is LR2, and the current approval is for 534 units.
That's the property just west of Arden?
Yes, actually, no, that is the Artistry. PUD.
Artistry.
Right,
And it's
and-
zoned right now for LR2?
Right now in the county's code.
Got it. So this is that,
Yeah, I think on page 4 of your handout, it compares right now what the current planning and zoning is and what the Village of Wellington has proposed for
so I would
Artistry.
like to, if that's the zone, like, I would like to, again, a part of those negotiations, not go any more dense than what is already currently
Yeah.
approved.
Right, just to note, though, with the Wellington proposal, it's 579 homes.
Versus?
Which is, yes, versus 534. So the density in Wellington would be 1.3 units per acre. It's still under the LR2, but it's more units. So if you want us to negotiate with just what is currently approved for Artistry PUD, we can certainly do that.
That would be great. Okay, so we need a motion for the, oh, and Commissioner Weiss, please.
Thanks. I probably would have benefited from going through a full presentation on this, because I see Wellington's proposing zero. I'm sorry, let me just ask a question. Do you have any workforce housing requirements?
In Wellington, we do not.
So
We can add that.
that would be something I would want to have included as a discussion, that there needs to be workforce housing and/or workforce and/or affordable housing.
Commissioner Weiss, as the district commissioner, I don't want to include that because I don't want to drive density up in order to get to workforce housing numbers. If that's, I want to leave that to their ability to.
If you develop 10 homes in Palm Beach County, you're required to build one workforce housing.
Then it would not, again,
So you would be giving that up.
if the builder finds it and it goes to Wellington and they want to negotiate that, I just don't want to tie these negotiations down. I'd rather limit it at this LR2 that it's currently, which is low residential. I mean, if we add workforce housing, does that then automatically increase density? Tui?
Right now, under their current approval, there is 54 that's required, and a total of 534. But yes, they could come in and amend that to go up to two units per acre, and maybe also increase their workforce housing as well.
If we can just mimic what is currently
is approved.
Currently approved.
Property next, the
We're talking about what's
Artistry Lake is
what's allowed on the current property.
Let's go back to the property east of Artistry Lakes.
Show the boundary. Are you talking about the Leonard parcel?
If I may, I think I can commit to including workforce housing considerations in the agreement for the ISBA. Yes, sir.
But I guess we're trying to also say we wouldn't want more in even the vacant land than what is already, but Artistry Lakes is all we're talking about today, right? And it's approved.
Right.
No.
For.
So, no. The area outlined in red is the area that will be negotiated under the ISBA. Artistry Lakes is a part of that. Wellington has already started the annexation process for Artistry Lakes. We objected, and so the alternative is to come up with a holistic agreement for everything within that red outline.
Again, keeping roadways intact. So again, I wouldn't want increases in density. Yeah, if you would like to repeat.
Yeah, let me repeat that. I'm just saying, so in the Artistry Lakes, based on what's in, just on what they're proposing in their plan is to eliminate the 54 workforce housing homes that they're already required to build under the agreement or the order that they have from Palm Beach County. Then you've got the land adjacent to it and.
But if they can do that under the current, right?
They would have to. They're having, right now, under the order, they have to build 54 workforce housing homes.
And you want to keep that intact, is what you're saying?
I want to keep that intact, and I want them to also, if they do move forward with the annexation, that they agree to have workforce housing on the other parcel as well. I mean, we're trying to find a way to make things affordable for people here. And if there's a successful negotiation, and what the representative, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name, sir, Tim, what he was saying is they would agree to continue to keep the 54 workforce housing homes, so without increasing the density.
Well, Commissioner, if I clarify, my commitment was to including workforce housing in the ISBA. The decision on whether or not it would remain in Artistry Lakes would be a council policy decision.
I don't want to require it to remain in Artistry Lakes, I guess is my point. If the council at some future date, and that falls to them, wants to build it off-site.
And yes, I'm sorry, just to add also, the current land use for the adjacent eastern property, Leonard property, is RR5, which is 1 unit per 5 acres. So just, I'm sorry, and you said that, could you repeat your question again? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So regarding the workforce housing units, if I'm understanding correctly, it's 534 homes plus the 54.
No, that
or
includes.
Is that included in?
Includes 54 workforce housing is included.
So essentially, Mayor, you're still remaining under what you're asking. It's still at 534. We're just asking that 54 of those 534 are workforce housing units. So I am in favor of keeping that in place. I think if we're going to negotiate and come to an agreement, I think that's important to the county. I think, every little bit helps. So
So let's say we agree to putting on, leaving workforce housing intact with these negotiations. I mean, I would also don't want to just increase in density. There's another parcel here we're talking about.
Yeah, the parcel to the east of it.
To the east, because it is up against 5-acre lots. So if we can leave those intact, leave those densities intact, then I think we could find an agreement.
yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay.
If we keep our current level and we keep the workforce housing unit, we're still below what Wellington's proposing. It works.
All right, so a motion. Motion by Commissioner Weiss.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Flores. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that the motion carries 5-0.
So just to clarify, the the motion is to approve the resolution as it is currently presented to this board.
But also negotiating the right-of-way and no increases in density.
Right, and so that we understand, I believe yeah, but the resolution would, I believe, contemplates that too, because it talks
Yes.
about, Twee, please.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
it
sorry.
discusses responsibility for road ownership, road rights-of-way, construction and maintenance, including streetlights. So
Okay,
I think we
thank you.
understand that includes those road rights-of-way to the north.
We are clear. All right, master transportation plan.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yes, at the request of the board at the February 4th comp plan meeting, that the consultant, WSP, for the project bring back more detail and technical information on how the process has, been going on, as well as leading up to what the board will be seeing in the future. So with me here is our WSP team. Emily Ritzer is going to do the presentation. They also have their experts in traffic as well. And we also have our engineer representative here, Mr. David Ricks. Thank you. I'll turn this over to Emily. Yeah.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to present the analyses that we've been completing to date on the Comprehensive Transportation Master Plan. I think we're waiting for the presentation. There we go. Great. Thank you. Just starting this off quickly, I just wanted to let you know where we are. This is the methodology and the process that we've been following for the plan. We are currently in the second box on this slide, so the needs assessment piece, and then you'll see we'll be moving into prioritizing the recommendations and then ultimately bringing that into a final plan. There are some information slides at the beginning of this that I'm going to skip over so that we can get right into the analysis piece, but if there are questions related to that, we'll be happy to take that once we get through this. So with that, I wanted to jump into the analysis that
I'm just going to ask that you pull the mic a little bit closer to yourself, please.
No
Thank
problem.
you.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Great,
perfect.
thanks. So starting off, we start our transportation master planning efforts with doing a deep dive into transportation demand analysis, and that is done based on the regional travel demand model that we're using. And so that really sets the stage and the baseline for how we're looking at the transportation system as a whole. So just to give an example of some of the data that's come out of that, we start with the 2025 information, and what you're seeing here is the level of service in 2025. Level of service is a measure of congestion of how we're looking at these different corridors. So anything that is E or F is where we start to see failure in the system with congestion. So C and D are typically considered acceptable, but as you get farther into that scale, that's where we start to see degradation of service along those corridors. So as we move from the 2025 into the 2050, this is a predictive model that lets us look at what happens over time. One of the things that's included in this 2050 data is what we call the existing plus committed projects. So projects that have funding already associated with them are accounted for in this. So this is the model after that has been taken into consideration. So moving on from that, we wanted to share some of the examples of the other types of analysis that we've been doing. And so we've also been doing some scenario testing on certain types of corridors and projects. So one of those was the Okeechobee Premium Transit Corridor. And what we wanted to look at is if we implemented bus rapid transit or the light rail transit in this corridor, what system-wide effects might that have? So you can see from the table here the type of information that's inputted. And the next slide shares an outcome of what that scenario looks like. So what you see in blue is along the corridors on Okeechobee and State Route 7 that we will see a decrease in traffic when that service is implemented, but we also have a traffic diversion that occurs. So what we learn from this is what do we need to take into consideration if something like this is moving forward, that there may be additional improvements or recommendations that are needed, but it also gives us an understanding of what happens specifically on those corridors to vehicular traffic. So in the next slide, what you'll see are some of the outcomes of that analysis, where we get into the trip delays, what type of delay is along there, and also the changes in the travel time for people that would normally navigate within those corridors. And then you can see that you have a change and an increase in that travel time that is taking people to travel in the corridor. So this is the type of analysis as we look at some specific targeted areas that we can continue to do on other corridors to move forward. The next piece is a corridor analysis that we did where we wanted to focus on where the greatest needs are within the county. I want to be clear that when we talk about this, we have done a detailed segment analysis of all the entirety of the network. So this is a sampling of that. So we've done this in a two-step process. The first step really started with when we looked at that 2050 data from that level of service. Where do we see the greatest amount of congestion, and what are those high-use corridors? We also took into consideration the freight network in the area and other projects that are being planned that might be able to be accommodated, as well as looking at bicycle and pedestrian facilities so that we have a true multimodal look at it. After that first step, we had about 12 corridors that we looked at that kind of rose to the high need area. And we took this out then to our committee. We have a technical committee that's been working with us through the life of this project, and we shared this information with them to receive feedback. And then what you see next is the step 2 corridor analysis that we completed. There's a few pieces that we added as we moved into step 2. That was balancing between the commission districts to make sure we had countywide coverage. We also did a comparison of that 2025 and the 2050 level of service. So you can see that you moved from having acceptable level of service in many of these corridors into a degradation. And then also how the level of traffic stress is how we measure the bicycle and pedestrian facilities. So that's really an ease of comfort for using those corridors. And so if there was a a high level of traffic stress on those corridors, you see the check boxes there. And then we also did a speed analysis of these corridors. And that speed analysis looked at the posted speed along those corridors and then the actual speed that is measured through cellular data. And that gives us an indication, again, of that delay and what kind of experience you may have on that corridor. And then from there, we took that, again, back to our technical committee and vetted this through them. This next map is what we shared in that technical committee. I know it's a little bit hard to see, where we were able to take a deep dive into all of this. And a few corridors came up repeatedly that we also wanted to make sure were included as we moved forward with these high-need corridors. So from there, we refined that list. We're now, I think, at about 16 corridors that we're carrying forward. So that type of analysis that you saw in the Okeechobee piece, we can take that type of data and begin to apply that here. And so we just wanted to share the outcomes of that information. And then a few next steps that we wanted to share with you of where we're going. We also want to make sure that we're doing a future proofing of the plan, understanding that the conditions that we're in today are uncertain and things change, and we have innovation and technology that is coming at a rapid pace, and we don't want to be behind the 8 ball as that comes forward. So we'll be taking this into consideration within the master plan so that we can adapt and prepare for what those changes may be in the future. And then also a major next step, this is really where we are going to be getting solution focused and the tie-in between the transportation network and your land use. And so these design principles are something that we'll be using to look at what type of traffic solutions fit to the context of the community that they're in and the type of land use surrounding it. We've heard a lot about traffic today and how that affects this. So this is the area where we'll be able to bring those solutions to you and how they fit into that community context. And then we're using a lot of the national best practices, and some of this will also become a menu as you look and explore developments of the types of investments that can be made to suit those improvements along the way. So just to wrap it up quickly, where we go from here, our next steps, really what we're working on right now is that coordinated effort between the land use and zoning elements that are in place and future looking and how that ties to the transportation network. And then we are also taking a lot of these segment analysis and those corridor analysis. There is, we have compiled over 1,500 projects from a series of different plans from all of the communities in the area and cross-referencing that against our analysis to see if there are already solutions that are in place that may serve these or if there are gaps in that. And that's where we'll be bringing new recommendations and solutions into that process. We are also looking at this from a multimodal perspective. So how do we serve vehicular traffic as well as what are some of those transit needs and of course our active transportation as well. The next step after that is to test some of these solutions as we refine that list down of those that are of countywide significance to be able to report back. Do they actually address some of these congestion needs, or do we need to dive deeper into what those solutions are? And then we'll prioritize that list of projects based on that need so we can begin to look at recommendations and how to deliver and take action on these proposals moving forward. So I know I went through that quickly, but we did want to get to some of the questions that you may have for us today. And then this is just a little snapshot of a tool that we used where we compiled all of those projects and worked with our partners to be able to make sure this list is complete and accurate as we apply it in the next phase. So with that, we're here to take some questions from you.
I want to thank you for bringing this back to us. We had some serious concerns last time you came before this board about not getting the right information or accurate information. We want to know that there's plans, data being collected to really help solve what is our, I would say, number one issue is traffic congestion in this county. No one likes it. Yeah. And so I do thank you for bringing this back. I will let some of my other commissioners ask some questions. I do not know who was first, so we are going to start left to right. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that very good explanation. I am looking on page 16 when you discuss the various roads that you're looking at, and I am looking for Lyons Road. And I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing it, but this is a road that really needs analysis and would really profit from your, your good recommendations. Is there any reason why it is omitted, and is there any reason why we cannot include it now?
So on this piece specifically, we were highlighting those that had the basically the highest needs or showed the greatest level of degradation. If it's not on this list specifically for that task, that doesn't mean we aren't looking at that corridor, but we can come back to you with some additional information on that.
No, I don't want you to come back with me. I want to know why Lyons Road, which has the one, there is a corridor, Lyons Road, Timbers. It is about 3 miles north of the line with Broward County. It is a dangerous type of curve that our traffic folks, and David Ricks is right here, we have reviewed that extensively. There's probably more recorded accidents and fatalities on that curve. That Lyons Road extends from the Broward County line all the way up. So can you today commit to reviewing the issues on Lyons Road, starting from the Broward line, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's all I need, is that you will do that.
No
and it will be, you don't need to get back with me. I just want it on this list, okay? Because it is a dangerous curve there, and then it extends up through the GL communities from Clintmore Road all the way up to Boynton Beach and north.
Okay.
Okay? So you will do that?
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today, and appreciate that. So can you help me understand, how will you all look at, like, we have underutilized shopping centers likely to become mixed use or potentially residential developments. How do you all, or how will you, when you're looking at this, how will you account for that, even though they may not have, communities may not have zoned them or rezoned them?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And a next step for us is to really dive into the land use elements of it, and hearing a lot of the discussion today too, looking at the specific data around what densities are allowed, where do you have vacant parcels, how would that tie into it, what happens if you have those types of changes. And I think it would be more looking at a policy-driven approach of how do you address something when it changes dramatically. How do you go from a vacant to a high-density parcel, and what type of information do you need to have in a review in order to be able to accommodate that? you
I'd
want to
also add that as far as the data, the projected data is concerned, the maximum densities for those properties are embedded in the land use assumptions in the model. So that's more macro level, and then what Emily's describing is how we could get more micro level during the analysis to understand what might happen specifically.
I mean, do you all have the ability to sort of, I mean, because you've got a lot of planners involved, to sort of just look, looking at this saying, you know what, the likelihood of this shopping center, even though, I mean, because I know our municipal partners, or maybe even our own parcels, we don't contemplate that, those kinds of changes. We haven't changed our zoning to accommodate that, but I can assure you, somebody is going to look at that and say, you know what, that's going to become, that should be housing or, some kind of mixed-use development. I mean, we just have a lot of these underutilized shopping centers. I'll give you another example. Nothing against car lots, but, I think that the way that model of that business is changing rapidly as well, and we're, potentially seeing that evolve. And so maybe it's your futurist that's going to help, but that can be somehow contemplated as you're looking at this and saying, even though, nobody has identified this as being an upzoning, the reality of it is it's most likely going to get upzoned. So this is what your future is going to look like when that happens.
So I think what you just encapsulated about, the potential for upzoning, we can definitely address. We aren't doing a market study, so I don't want to give the impression that we would be suggesting whether or not a property might make more sense as housing or something else. We would be looking at it from the transportation impacts that could result from potential upzoning.
Right.
That will be part of the analysis.
Okay, all right, very good. All right, thank you. I also noticed Atlantic Avenue's not on there.
I noticed that too.
So,
I didn't want to give them too much.
Well,
I can promise you that as I was saying, we do have we've broken down the entire network into segments.
Okay.
And we do have the data for every major roadway. So there are multiple layers of analysis happening. So these were those that bubbled to the surface as the absolute highest need.
Gotcha.
But we are looking at every major corridor.
Thank you.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
Yeah, so we had a very good conversation yesterday regarding the presentation you just brought forward. Some of the things that I brought up at that meeting, I just want to reiterate once again here amongst my commissioners. It's great that we're going down the corridor analysis because that's very important. But I think there are some other components that also need to be looked at in addition to some of the areas that we know are congested. So that should be that should also be considered. One of the things that I would like us to also look at is bottlenecks. And we talked about yesterday, and my biggest example of a big bottleneck in the county is Kirk and Southern. And I will bring this up every single time because you have 5 or 6 overpasses that lead to an intersection, which makes no sense. And everybody in the morning is going into the city to be able to get to work, whether they're coming out from Belle Glade, Loxahatchee, wherever it is that they're coming from. Kirk and Southern is a bottleneck every single morning. And I'm assuming there's many more throughout the county that I'm not thinking about right now. In addition, you said you're looking at different plans that are happening, whether it's municipality, TPA, or whatever else. We should look at prioritizing projects based on the need. So if you, as you're going through this plan and you see that maybe at the TPA we have something ranked 15th, we need to bump it up to 5. Things like that also we should align ourselves so we prioritize projects in a manner that it's going to make the system more efficient. And the last thing is redundancy, creating more redundancy for people to be able to maneuver when there's accidents or things like that. So connecting roads. There are many roads out there that end and then it picks up on another section. I think Harbor Hill has a section like that. We're talking about State Road 7. So things like that, if we're able to connect, that should be brought to us. Even if it creates an uncomfortable conversation, it should still be brought up to us. I know that we don't ever want to take land away from anybody, but it should at least be brought up. I mean, if we're going to do a full analysis, it should include all of these components, even if it's uncomfortable. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Marino, you're recognized.
Thank you, and thank you for meeting with me yesterday, and thank you for including the level of service on 2025 in comparison to 2050. So what you're saying is, if we do absolutely nothing, that's what's going to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
So it looks like the two worst offenders are the first two.
I would just caveat, it's absolutely nothing plus anything that may be funded that between now and then, because those are assumed in the model.
Okay. So obviously for our board, and because Commissioner Powell's not here, the District 7, the two on the top are very important. They have a severe difference in level of service. So obviously a little importance on those would be great. I do want to reiterate, each of us have different opinions about what we're looking for. Yesterday in our meeting, I also asked you to take into consideration density on industrial property because of what the legislature did. So I don't think that was included, so I hope you will include that going forward, because that would be, if every municipality and the county decided to turn industrial into residential, the words that just went through my head, I cannot repeat on a phone, on a microphone, but it would not benefit any of us, but you need to have that, because the thing that I said to you yesterday was we need to know what the worst possible case scenario is. What is the most amount of density that we could possibly add, and then work backwards, because if we don't work at that level, no matter what changes we make, we're already behind. So those were the things that I was, thank you for listening to me yesterday, and I just wanted to share with the board what my comments were. Other than that, we're just looking forward to making sure that we have data along the way. For all of us, it's the most important, and we know that there's a mix of data. We know that AI is important. AI is not going to solve everything, though. When in your forecasting do you see that driverless vehicles become a mandate? So these are things that we might not include, but could possibly be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
I want to reiterate what my colleague, Commissioner Weiss, said about Atlantic Avenue. And the reason this is important, and I'm saying Atlantic Avenue from 441 all the way to, well, specifically to past the Turnpike, I-95, you could stop there because the rest is just too congested to do anything about. But there is active development right now on Atlantic Avenue from 441 to the Turnpike, right now. How quickly can you give us an analysis of that area from 441 to the Turnpike of Atlantic Avenue?
Good afternoon, actually, or good morning. Good afternoon. And my name is Behzad Karimi. I'm the modeler, transportation modeler for this affair. So the model takes three inputs. The three major inputs is population employment, network, highway network, and transit network. So any of those components that we want to test allow us to change and test those scenarios. So let's say you want to, in a zone, you want to add population, build a new development, we want to add...
Sir, do you know Atlantic Avenue, the area that I'm talking about?
Not very
Okay. Does anybody know what I'm talking about on this transportation board?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Could you respond as to what we can do? Right now, they're developing. There was a developer here earlier today. FDOT is involved in this development because it's their road. But I need assistance, I need advice on how the development should proceed along that corridor. Could you give me that advice in the next 7 days?
I think we could do a scenario on that.
Excellent. You know where to find me.
Yes.
And give a copy to everybody else, especially to our zoning and planning folks, because that's an area that's being developed right now.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you, appreciate it.
Commissioner Flores, you're recognized.
So while we were talking, I got a text message from one of my city managers. So I'll give him a big shout out to Michael Bornstein, who's probably listening in, but he asks, are we using the most up-to-date future land use maps and zoning, or are we still using lagging data from BR 2022?
So we are using the most updated data from the Palm Beach Zoning County. So we are using the output from the 2025 population model. And that is we replace the model, the population input with that model. So yes, we are using the most current population data from that model.
So you're saying population.
Right.
But what the question here is future land use,
right, so
maps and zoning.
Right, exactly. So that population, all those information is translated into model as population. Like, hey, how many population by household, by different component, like zero car household, one car household, or one household size, two household size. So all that population translates, all the data translates into that information that model takes as the input. So that's going to be socioeconomic data in different classification. Yes. So the population for 2050 is based on the most current data, available data.
Perfect.
Not 2020 or not 2022.
Thank you. And then, Patrick, is there something that you wanted to bring up?
I just wanted to emphasize on the future land use and zoning, you've got the county's most recent. We have been prompting the cities for over a year to collect their most recent, so we have their information as well. All that they submitted to us, been doing that for over a year now.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. We had a pretty long meeting yesterday, so. Did you need to say something, Pat?
Mayor, when you concluded your discussion, I did want to talk to you about extending the timing on the contract, but I'll wait until the board's
And we
complete
have
with this.
cards? Let's take the cards.
We have Alexander Larson and Drew Martin.
Ladies first.
I'm too tired. I was going to ask if someone could get me a copy of what they presented today up here, because there was no backup because it's a discussion, but I didn't know if it was all right to have a copy of that for future. Thank you so much. Oh, there you go. See? Well, give me both, because I'll give one to Sharon. I know Sharon will want one, so thank you. I appreciate that. I am trying to understand traffic because we're always trying to put a square peg in a round hole. We really are. I mean, we've got some roads that are really tough. And we sit at traffic lights recently, and I'm not quite sure why, but there's two items that you guys, I hope you'll look at. And one is the blinking yellow left-hand turn light, really dangerous, really bad. And then us sitting at lights for like 3, 6, 9 minutes to get to where we're going. We're sitting because we have cars that don't go necessarily when the light turns green. So now I don't know how it all started, none of my business. I didn't come up with that idea, but they don't go. So only 2 cars get through the light, and the 27 behind me aren't going. Now, I have a big old truck, so I just push myself through. But a lot of people don't have that. They don't have an ugly 25-year-old pickup truck. So that would help greatly in your traffic suggestions, because you need to factor that in. And that is, I know the blinking yellow left-hand turn light is new because people complained to me about it. Where did that come from? I'm asking you today because I didn't know where it came from. So there you are. But we have some terrible situations. Lyons Road in particular, I know what Ms. Sachs is talking about. I know where we live, getting on Southern, a lot of fun. Okeechobee's just a dream. All the roads, like, you just want to put more traffic on the road, so we've got to think of alternatives. I don't know if it's going to be helicopters. People are not riding bicycles in the 100-degree heat. It ain't happening. They're not jogging. They're not, I remember all the pipe dreams we heard about from 2004 on, and it doesn't happen. So please take that into consideration. And thank you for a copy of this, because the next time we got a little bit more information. Good luck with the 7 days, knowing, I hope you can do that, because I see with the road, our road work takes a long time. An example out where I live, and I've never said anything, I've been very nice, but from Orange to North Lake has been taking a coon's age. I've never seen a slower road in my life, and it's ugly. We've been driving it for a very, very long time, so hopefully someone will go out there with a whip, and when there's 75 guys around the hole looking at the man digging the hole, they'll go work on the rest of the road. And I thank you for your time.
So just to clarify that, because I had similar questions on why that project was taking so long. It was because of utility lines that were under the ground.
I realize there were some setbacks, but God needs to come in right now and fix that.
And again, Ranger Construction are the people doing the road work, and they have started to expedite that. So I want to thank them.
I feel sorry for the people who live on the road.
I do too.
I briefly look at it, I just have to cruise by it. But
Thank you.
That's so sad, because it's been a very long time, Commissioners. I don't know the exact date when they put the golden shovel in the ground, but it was a long time ago.
Thank you, Ms. Larson. Drew Martin.
Drew Martin. I'm here on behalf of the Loxahatchee Group of the Sierra Club, and I do ride a bike when it's 100 degrees. In fact, people have commented to see me riding when it's not over 100 degrees and saying, wow, I can't believe you're out riding a bike. I actually rode a bike to work for almost 15 years, every day. And I only got hit by a car one time. But I do want to talk about bike safety, because more people are killed on bicycles, I believe, and I'm not absolutely positive, but I believe in Palm Beach County than anywhere else in Florida. And I know more people are killed in Florida on bicycles than anywhere else. And, a lot of it is that drivers are just not careful, but it's also because the roads are just awful for bicycles. And I think, I go to a lot of different places. I go to Washington, D.C., I go to California, and I see people have much different habits. For instance, in California, people carpool. Most people in Florida do not carpool. In California, people use public transit. In fact, in the middle of the night, there'll be public transit, and it'll be packed. In Florida, almost no one uses public transit. I do. But I mean, really, look at the buses, because there's no incentive, and we raise the price, and then it makes it even harder on people to use public transit. But we really need to get people out of their cars, or it's going to be gridlock. And the unfortunate thing is, a lot of people in Florida are retired, and so they just get in their car all the time. I mean, they want, I forgot a quart of milk. They get in their car, go for a quart of milk. Oh, I forgot jam. Get in their car, go for jam. Oh, I forgot coffee. They're on the road 25 times a day, in and out. And a lot of them are not the best drivers. I know I worked over in the town of Palm Beach, and somebody commented that one of the residents in the unit where I worked was driving down the bike path and the pedestrian path. They didn't even know the difference between the road and that. And the only thing that got them off the road is their daughter was a doctor and finally just declared them not competent to drive. And I'm working with my mom, and I told her, you're not driving. That's it. You're in your 90s, you're not driving. But a lot of people in Florida, they don't have that freedom because there's so many not very many ways to get the goods you need. Now, I'm hopeful that we're going to see more bike lanes that are protected. That means there has to be a barrier in traffic and the bike. The other thing we really need is to slow down the speeds to a certain extent, because some people go really fast, and that leads to a lot of accidents. And I know people are in a hurry and whatever, but a lot of times they're just not in a hurry, but they're still driving, way faster than they need to be. And, I don't like to see a lot of tickets. I hate red light cameras and that kind of stuff. But anyway, I could go on, but I won't, because I know anybody with common sense and two sets of eyes knows what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. I do. Pat?
Mayor, thank you. Just wanted to ask for the board's direction as well on, as it relates to the contract. We were on a very aggressive time schedule, I think I've shared with all of you. You had the primary deliverables that were otherwise due to you May into June, and I would love to add a little more time to that, maybe work out some of these deliverables into late summer, early fall. Would need to work with WSP on it, so I'd love your direction. Let us go back and recalibrate the schedule just a little bit, bring back to you some time frames. I know there's some end dates that are going to be important to some, very mindful of that, but let us work it a little bit, give us more time to work with some of our partners, stretch this work out a little bit, and work with the board as well.
Do I have any objections?
No, I was going to say,
Commissioner
do we
Marino?
need to make a motion for that to
As long as I have your
extend?
direction and understanding, we will bring it back to you and show you the dates, because I know that end point will be mindful to many of you, and we will come back. Just want to make sure the board was aware, and I had your nod to
So
proceed.
you got direction without objection.
Thank you.
Do we need any motions for this item, Darren?
No motion.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Pat, do you have any more comments?
None.
Whitney?
Yes, please. I would actually like to introduce Ramon Trias. Ramon is our new Assistant Development Director with Planning, Zoning, and Building. And Ramon comes to us with over 30 years of experience in the land use and zoning and world. He's a professor, he's an architect, he's an ASCP certified planner. So he's coming in to help us with our planning and zoning divisions, also help with some streamlining and working with the concierge service that we're developing. So we're very excited to have Ramon. So thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Ramon. Darren, did you have any comments?
I do not.
You do?
Oh, no. No.
We're going to start from right to left this time for commissioner comments. Commissioner Marino.
Thank you. I have two off-site proclamations I would like to ask for. One would be honoring the 100th anniversary of the Panhellenic alumni of Palm Beach County.
Do I have a second? I have a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. The other off-site proclamation would be honoring the inaugural graduating cohort of the Andrea C. Cameron Foundation Fellowship Program, Next Level U.
I have a motion and I have a second by Commissioner Weiss. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that motion carries 5-0.
On behalf of Commissioner Woodward, Vice Mayor Woodward, I would like to request an off-site certificate of recognition presented to David Deck.
I have a motion. I have a second by Commissioner Sachs. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that motion carries 5-0.
And I'd just like to comment and say thank you for voting in for the Cognizant Classic. These are your lanyards. Hope to see you all. I'm sure you got tickets for the Sports Commission. Hope to see you all there.
Are you going to play?
I am not playing. I'm not good enough.
I'm not going.
But I do want to say thank you. This is a true partner at the county, and it's been there a long time. I've written a lot of checks to the charity for this event, and just thank you to the board for the contract. And with that, no more comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Flores.
Yes, I have a very sad announcement, and I would like to recognize someone who has meant a lot to me and my team at District 3. Vivian Rodriguez, can you stand up, Vivian? Vivian is retiring officially tomorrow. She is officially retiring for the third time. She is a dedicated servant to our country. She spent over 25 years as an NYPD detective. She was there for the aftermath of 9/11. She is someone who constantly gives back to her community, volunteers endlessly, very kind, always willing to step up and do the right thing. She also spent over 10 years with Congressman Darren Soto up in Congress, and for the last year, a little bit over a year, she's been at the helm here as my chief of staff. She has set the tone for our office and the direction that we have gone. I think you have done an exemplary job. You're the definition of professionalism, and Vivian, I can't say thank you enough for your service to our community. I am presenting you with a plaque, so thank you so much for everything. Do you want to say a couple of words?
Hello, everyone. It's a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting this, but I would like to first acknowledge and thank Commissioner Flores for the trust that he had bestowed on me and to putting together a foundation for a fabulous team. And I know that the team will move on and be very successful, and they will definitely continue with your mission and your goals and economic prosperity for District 3. So I want to thank you for the privilege of working here, and I also want to thank every professional here. I've had a wonderful experience, working with Palm Beach County, and I will take this with me like all my other experiences. So I want to thank you and show my appreciation as well, that it was excellent, all the experiences I had working with all of you. Thank you, commissioners, and let's see what happens in my next chapter. So hopefully I'll be in a sunny beach, drinking my pina coladas. But thank you all, and continue the great work.
Commissioner Weiss, would you like to proceed with your comments?
Thank you, Mayor. I have two off-site proclamations I'd like to request. One, recognizing February 2026 as True Armor Month, and the second, declaring March 2026 as Let's Move Palm Beach County Month.
I have a motion. Second by Commissioner Marino. All in favor? Any opposed? Please see that that motion carries 5-0.
Thank you, Mayor. And just very briefly, just want to share with you all, I was up at the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference over the weekend, and I want to just let you know, I thought it was a well-intentioned program. We were able to update some of our federal policy resolutions, important not only to Palm Beach County, but to all 3,000 plus counties across this country, in ensuring that, we get the resources that our citizens need, and help the federal government understand, what's happening in our community. So it was beneficial, and thanks to our staff, who also, some of our staff were also there and able to provide some guidance to the National Association of Counties as well.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Sachs, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Mayor. I respectfully request an update on what measures we are doing to address the gap in services for pediatric health, mental health for our children. Some time ago, JFK North opted out of taking care of pediatric mental health for our kids here in Palm Beach County. And at that time, we requested sort of a study be done so that we could find another healthcare facility to pick this up. At the present time, if a child is experiencing a Baker Act situation, the family has to transport that child out of our county to get help. So it may be that we've already found another healthcare facility or hospital to take care of that. I'd like to know so that I can make that public and acknowledge that. If not, I think that we need to have a study done or a report done back to us as to what is happening with that regard.
Commissioner Weiss, you're recognized.
Thank you. And you may not have been at the meeting where we were updated. The healthcare district is working with a provider up on 45th Street, and they're going to be funding a facility, an interim facility until they're, so maybe rather, and it's up to the board, I have no objection to coming back, but potentially just have them update you on what how they're moving forward
That
with
would be good, because I've requested from many of our healthcare facilities, this is not 12 and over.
No, this is
12 and younger.
no, this is a pediatric, and they had committed the funds, and they had found a facility in which to locate this pediatric care. And so I think you may have missed that meeting when they updated us on that. So maybe we can have somebody from community services and.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll contact them this afternoon, Healthcare District, and I'll find out, and I'll make a report myself. Because I know that there's families that need this, and right now they're going to Martin County. So if we need to expedite our healthcare district to find a facility, money is there. Our money is there. We just don't have the facility. I contacted Tenet. They're not interested at this time. So good. I'll find out this afternoon. I'll let y'all know by a letter. Also, I'd like to commend Commissioner Weiss on, he was there at NACO this last couple of days, and he was one of the speakers at one of the panels that we had that was very good. And we also had our mayor, Sarah Baxter, was there present and represented us very, very well. And it was cold. It was cold for those of us from Palm Beach County. And Vivian, I want to thank you for all the work and the help you've done with my office. And I figure you'll be back pretty soon. But I look forward to hearing about that nice beach time that you have out there. So thank you for your service. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you to everyone. It was definitely cold in DC at NACO. I want to thank my residents that came out last night to be heard. It's very important that they know their opinions matter, and I stand with them. So thank you, everyone, and we are adjourned.
The Mayflower event in our community's history was the wreck of a Spanish ship called the Providencia, which in January of 1878 ran aground about where Mar-a-Lago is. And these pioneer families salvaged the ship, which was a huge boon. We had no stores here. The nearest store was a place called Sand Point. It's today called Titusville. It's 120 miles away. So you can imagine a ship filled with wood and nails and brass and copper. They ate all the food, they drank all the booze, they had a big party on the beach for days, and after they ran out of booze and all the pioneers sobered up, they started to figure out, what are we going to do with the shipwreck? And they stripped all the wood off of it, and they built their homes out of them. But they had one thing they didn't know what to do with, and that was in the cargo hold of the ship. It was 20,000 coconuts being transported from the Caribbean back to Spain. And they looked at each other and thought, what the heck are we going to do with 20,000 coconuts? But it was the perfect cash crop for them to farm. We could grow anything here. You can grow here year round, which is unique to South Florida, which was enough to feed everyone. No one ever went hungry, but there was nothing to sell, because by the time you got your tomatoes and green beans to market in Jacksonville, it took you a week to get them there. They were all spoiled. So there was no consistent income. The coconuts offered an opportunity for consistent income. So they planted them all up and down the barrier island. But what ultimately happened, of course, was